Hey everybody, welcome to Reality Check. We're here with Dee, Jason, and none other than Paul Jackson from Big Brother Canada 2.
Happy to be here, guys. This is awesome.
It's very exciting. Very exciting. We haven't had an interview in a while since your buddy Kyle. That was the last one we did, so it's kind of fun that we get to have you on next as well. So.
Yeah, let me apologize for that now.
Oh, God. And especially having someone like Paul, who's a huge Big Brother super fan, is fantastic. So this is going to be amazing. So prepare, fasten your seatbelts, everyone who's watching. This is going to be a doozy. And Paul has brought some pretty cool things for you guys to decide on later on, which is going to be epic.
So where do we want to start? Do we want to talk about the episodes? Do we want to talk to Paul? What do we want to do?
Well, let's just ask Paul. What do you think about this last week that's happened with Arlie going home and everything? What's your thoughts on all of that?
You know, it's crazy when you're in the house and you feel like you have some control over your actions and the competitions you play. Then you feel like you're playing the game. When you have so many twists happening so fast, it almost seems like luck has to be on your side. Like you don't even have a chance to fight your way out of something. I mean, look at Sarah, look at Kenny, the way they went. It was that fast that they went back to back. I mean, Kenny didn't see that coming, right? Soon after Sarah. And then, of course, you get Allison getting that POV out of nowhere. Again, let's face it, she's the only one that knew where the war room was. Hello! But she got it. She got it. And, of course, then, I mean, the craziest move ever by taking Sabrina off the block, which blew my mind away. I don't know what she was thinking at that point. So now Sabrina comes off, and I don't know if she's Slobberina or Gremlin, but nevertheless, she came off the block. Rochelle, you know, being a little puppet on the show, came off with her, as you know. And guess who's on the block? My buddy Deli. I can't believe that. Next to Arlie. Who just wants to play the game? So, I mean, insane, dude. So now I'm thinking, what's going on? This is crazy. I've got Deli on the block next to Arlie, who's supposed to be in alliance with John, but then John stabs in the back because John's kind of in there with Netta, but John has a girlfriend. I don't know. Well, that's a little confusing. But what I'm trying to say is that now you have Rochelle, you have Sabrina, you obviously have Netta, you have John, you have Allison kind of on the outside, still not knowing where she fits in. You've got Heather walking around with a finger in her mouth going, I'm still here. And then, of course, you have Deli, just doesn't know where to fit in.
Yeah, Deli, he's...
How worried were you, Paul, that Adele was going home that night? Were you worried at all? Did you think he was safe?
His audio kind of... No, technical issue.
Paul, I think you're muted. I think you're muted. I think you hit the mute button. No, nothing. Sign language, yep. No. Yeah, hit the mute button. Audio. No? What's going on? Maybe I can do it from here.
Just boot him and re-invite him. That's all we need to do. Kick Paul from the combo.
No, I think there's a thing here. Here we go. I'll unmute him myself. There, Paul? Nope.
No. It was fine before we started, I swear.
What the heck? What is going on? Paul, there's a button on the screen, and it has like a little microphone. Click it. Still nothing? Okay, I'm going to send you the link again and come back in. I'm going to kick you out. This is hilarious. Okay.
What do we make it, what, like 2 minutes?
Well, see the little mute button here.
Such a good interview.
Oh my god.
So good. So good.
Okay, I got rid of him. Sorry guys, this is brutal. Okay. Guys, talk amongst yourselves right now.
I don't know. I felt so bad for John. I know this sounds silly, but seeing him at that veto ceremony when he was like keeled over, he just like, is this really happening? Like, what is even the veto to pick the veto players? He's like, okay, if anybody else has anything to say, you know. And then here comes the veto ceremony itself, not just the player pick, and then people are, you know, blindside Gnarly and then pulling this veto out, and like he just looked heartbroken, like he didn't know what to do. And
He really wanted Arlie gone, though. He felt like Arlie was his biggest threat.
yeah, but just to see like his whole world fall apart in front of him, like I could just, my heart went out, because I liked John. Like despite him putting up Arlie, I don't hate him for it. I love Arlie. He was my favorite, but and this is such a funny thing about this season is I don't dislike anybody. Even Sabrina. Even Sabrina, like whatever. She has a reputation from the start of the game, and that's whatever. But I don't dislike her.
I love Sabrina.
Yeah, I think they're all
love
great.
her. She's entertaining, and what people don't realize is that girl's an actress. Mm-hmm. She can turn it off. She can turn it on. Mm-hmm. Lately, on the feeds and stuff, she has toned it down tremendously. That girl is an actress. She is very, very good at it. Yeah. She is a very good actress.
I mean, even like Aika, I talked a lot of crap about her, but I don't dislike her. I thought she was playing an okay game. She just made all the decisions that are opposite to what I would have done. So I just couldn't get on board with her because I didn't like the way she played the game. And then even Rochelle, she's kind of boring, but I don't dislike her. So I just love it that I can like everybody and I can cheer for everybody, because by the end of the game I'm like, you know what, Arlie goes home, okay, I can still cheer for Netta because I've been cheering for her since day one. I can cheer for John because I've been cheering for him since like day 2 because I really turned around on him. I can cheer for Adele because I really like him. Like, it's just great, you know. Allison, there's all these players that are still in the game that I still very much enjoy, that I can kind of root for now, right? But I mean, losing Arlie was tragic. Just
I know.
And you know what? I believed that he was going to stay because I thought this is such a cool move to do, to keep him and just to see this all happen. And then I think it was Rochelle was the first, because they did, who did they do? They did Heather and then Netta. So those 2 votes were for Arlie, obviously. And then the next person in the diary room was Rochelle for the votes, and she said Arlie. And I just started crying. I'm like, no, what does this world come to? You know, I felt so bad for him too.
I know.
Just heartbreaking, right? But
it is.
But his game started to fall apart. As good as he did, I saw a lot of bad moves in like the week leading up to that, right? So. Yeah, I mean, it could have been better, right? He didn't play a perfect game, obviously, because he's not around anymore, but it was still fun to watch. He was very entertaining.
It was fun to watch. Who do you think Netta's going to put up?
Oh, I don't know. Like, I have no idea what's going on right now. I know she was in the war room. I don't know how long she was in there. I don't know anything. So.
We know this is an instant eviction, right? Okay.
Yeah.
This instant eviction, they've cut the feeds, which is ridiculous to me. Why they didn't have the instant eviction, Sunday morning, then they would have had no need to cut the feeds.
Right.
So, we don't know who Netta will put up. I'm curious to hear what Paul says about it. Mm-hmm. So, but I think she will put up Sabrina. And I think she will put up Allison. I think she'll want Allison to go. But in the back of my mind, I'm wondering if she'll put up John.
Yeah, like, explain to me what happened from the end of the episode on Thursday. Like, she walked into the war room, and then has she been in there the entire time?
Yes, they don't know where she is.
So she just disappeared and never to be seen again.
Okay, guys.
And she literally broke Allison's bobblehead.
Oh,
so this Google Hangout is not letting Paul in, so I'm just going to quickly make a new one, and we're just going to hop onto the new one if that's okay.
That's fine.
Let's start over.
I don't get what is going on with this thing.
Sure.
Okay,
sure.
so...
Zap me out, Cassie.
Okay, we're going to close this one, everyone who's watching, and I'll retweet the new link. We'll be back in like 5 seconds. Okay, goodbye.
Okay. Goodbye.
I'm here.
Okay, and we're back. Sorry about that, guys. Okay.
Okay, I don't know what happened there. I lost you guys, and it just flashbacks from being in the Big Brother house, missing people. And I just, But the good thing was knowing that I grew up in Cape Town, South Africa. The same guy that did the sign language at Nelson Mandela's funeral was the guy I took lessons from. So I tried to sign, but it didn't quite work as well as I would have liked it to.
I didn't understand why you're telling us you wanted to go get an ice cream cone. It didn't.
That's what I was trying to convey there. The whole. So here we are. But listen, I'm not touching any buttons on my computer. So if you lose me, it means that somebody has left the building, and it was not me.
Okay.
Can we continue?
Yeah.
Where were we?
I think Dee had just asked you what you thought about, like, if you thought Adele was probably going to be going home over Arlie.
Right.
Were you worried that night? How worried were you?
I was very worried. I love your southern accent. Very worried about Arlie because you see, Arlie knows how to play this game. He's very smart, and I know that you guys never saw the first week that we were in the house. The feeds were down. I now know that. Gee whiz, I played such a good game that week. It's a shame you never got to really see that. But Arlie spent a lot of time with me in the mornings, and we talked for hours. Very smart, very intelligent, and I knew for a fact that he was playing the house. He was such a smart guy. And when he started his antics, it threw me for a loop because I didn't think that was what he was all about. That's when I knew he was playing the game. I also knew for a fact that he threw that competition with the golden egg because I don't know if you realize with the potatoes when they were looking for it, I was the one that was hosting that competition, and I kept on seeing him pass it by and sitting on it, and I kept on thinking to myself, why is he doing that? So I knew that he was a smart player, and Dali's a great guy, but he doesn't. He works for what he wants. Arlie throws things and plays the game very strategically. So if you give Arlie a finger, he'll take both hands and somebody else's hands. That's just the way he plays the game. He's very smart, and so I didn't want to count him out yet. So that's pretty much it, right?
Right. I actually was pretty sure Adele was staying. Yes, and I have a southern accent big time.
I love it.
Big time.
I'm an Okie. Yep, I'm an Okie.
Love it.
Thank you. But yeah, I was actually I was a little bit worried for Adele, but I was actually pretty sure Arlie was going. But I love Adele. I do. I love him. He's so entertaining on the feeds. I do. I just love the kid. I love him.
The one thing about Adele that I can tell you is that he's true to his word. And again, like I said, it really depends on what word he gives you. But when that man swears on his Quran, which he really fundamentally believes in, when he gives you that word, and he doesn't give it to everyone, he's only given it to myself, and he's given it to Kyle. I don't know who else he's given it to in the house. So from that standpoint, you knew that he could trust him. And I can tell you something. I tested that trust quite a few times in that house. Because in that house, you don't know who to trust. Because people are always talking. And you always got to have a backup plan. And you always got to keep your eyes open. So even though Dali was my guy, I always had to, at the back of my mind, say, okay, at the end of the day, everybody's still playing for $100,000. Let's keep it real. So I wanted to make sure that I continued to check up with him once in a while. But I loved the way he would go off on me in that house. And all I'd have to do is just stare at him. And then at some point, I'd have to point at my wedding finger and say, 15 years of marriage, Deli. And then he'd calm down. But I love that commodity between the two of us. I love that guy. He's an awesome kid.
You, Kyle, and Adele were comedy gold on the feeds. Oh, my gosh. Oh, my gosh.
Yeah,
I would so watch a show with you three on it. I would so watch a show. What do you think this week? What do you think's going to happen, Paul? Who's Netta going to put up? What do you think?
Oh, Netta. I think that if Netta was smart, then she would have put up Allison and Sabrina. I think that would be the smart choice, right? Because then we know that one of the gremlins are going home. And it's probably going to be Allison, because at this point in the game, I think it's not so much about who you send out that door, it's who you keep till the end. And I think that they know if they kept Sabrina till the end, they have enough votes in the jury to win the game, right?
Right.
That's just an emotional way of not playing the game. Unfortunately, people play an emotional game, which sounds kind of weird, though, don't you think? Like, you think that you're going to be strategic in there? You'd be amazed at how close people get and how every single characteristic or alliance or promise being broken gets magnified so much. It's like you've been dating the people for a year, you know? The bond that I have with Carl and Adele and Deli, it's because we spent literally 15, 16 hours together all the time in a day. That brings you close. So I think that I'd like her to put up Allison and Sabrina, but I don't know. I think Netta has shown her true colors, where she's really playing the game, and I would not be surprised if she puts up Deli and tries to get him out now, because she knows he's got that story that he can play at the end. I came from the bottom to the top, and that's an awesome story to take to the end.
Right.
Yeah.
I was just telling them while you were muted. I was just telling them my guess is Allison and Sabrina too. That's. But what if she put up John? Because she can't beat John. No.
Won't happen. It won't happen. You know, let me tell you, there's a lot of people in that house that had some really strong bonds, you know, and the way it starts out is it starts out with a friendship and a connection, and they had that from day one. You know, it wasn't like it grew over time. They connected on day one, and it grew to the point of now you can almost have them not say anything but look at each other and know what they're thinking. That is an alliance. Do you know what I mean?
Yes.
The type of bond that I had with Deli, even though we fought so much, we knew that at the end of the day we were never going to vote each other out. That's what John and Netta has. Do I ever think that if at any time Netta feels threatened, she will cut him loose? I think that John relies a lot on Netta.
Yes.
You know, a lot on Netta. Netta's a very smart girl. And I think that if she even senses or realizes that he might be a threat, she will put him up. But I think ultimately she'll take him to the end.
Do you guys think that John will get rid of Netta if he has to? Do you think
now,
he has
No. I don't think he would get rid of her.
Now, there's a good question. You see, because the two of them have strong loyalties, but we've seen what happens to people that promise people certain things. John has promised to stay with Kenny and stay with the new Fizz, and that it didn't pan out that way. John promised to be with Sarah, didn't kind of pan out that way. John promised to be with Arlie, didn't kind of work out too well.
And
Netta,
Adele.
Yep,
Arlie
and
and
Adele.
Adele.
So Netta has never made those promises besides John being at her side. She's always included John. I think the only time she kind of slid behind his back was when she talked to Sabrina and Rochelle to convince him to put up Arlie. That was an interesting move that she made on her part.
It was.
Yeah.
It was. She's a lot more of a gamer than what we knew. I mean, came out and it's like, wow, where's she been?
You know what? I remember when Kassie and I did the cast assessment at the start of the season, I remember talking about Netta and saying that she was probably the most likely to be a mole, kind of like the Andy Heron, where people are feeding her information back and forth. She didn't actually end up taking that role, but something quite similar to it. Like, I just knew that she was going to be that sort of very under the radar, very in the shadows, but very powerful kind of player who is going to be watching and listening and knowing what's going on, and is going to know when the right time to strike is. And it seems like she's been kind of staying true to that. I'm hoping she does well, because I really like the game that Ned is playing, and I hope that she can keep it going. So we'll have to see how this week unfolds for her. But
you're right, Jason. She's playing a social similar game to Andy.
Yeah.
Not the same, but similar. You're exactly right.
Well, I mean, she wasn't playing both sides. She's always very clearly been on one side. You know, she was against the first five because she didn't know about it. She was with the Girls Alliance, and that kind of, when that fell apart, it kind of just turned into her and John. you know, and then they picked up Deli, and then they picked up Heather, and then they picked up Arlie, and then they picked up Allison, right? So they've kind of been piecing together this kind of makeshift alliance, but it feels like it's kind of always been her and John to one degree or another. So
yeah.
But no, I love the game she's playing, so I can't wait to see where it goes.
She's listening to those girls, everything they're saying too. I mean, she's taking everything in.
This girl,
don't you, Paul?
This girl, you know, the first time I met her, you know, I remember the first week, and it's such a shame that you guys did not see that. And, you know, because it really solidified a lot of the friendships, and it solidified a lot of the alliances that came about the first week. And, of course, the broken promises, and, of course, the fight between myself and Andrew that came out. All of that started in the first week, right? But I can tell you something. Netta, you know, we talked, and this girl, how old is she? 22, 23? How old is she? What, 20? She's like in her early 20s, right?
Yes, early 20s.
I mean, talk about an entrepreneur. Talk about her T-shirt, you know, the line that she has going on. She's an artist. She's very business-oriented. She can explain a business plan to you. She's very smart. And I remember saying to her, if my daughter even amounted to anything close to who you have become at your age, I'd be very proud of her. And I meant that. She's a very smart girl. And I'll tell you something else about Netta. She can cut you off in a dime. I mean, when she said to me, plain blank, do you remember what she said to me? Paul, you won HOH way too soon. You're gone. Boom. I thought that was kind of harsh coming from Netta. I was like, what? But you know what? She knows when to cut off the emotion. She knows when to play the game, and then she knows when to pull back. That's really smart.
You know what I'm a little worried about for her, though, is the same problem Dan had in Season 14 was that I don't know if she really has jury management under her thumb, because you see the goodbye messages. I always liked Arlie's goodbye messages because it was always very lips to the butt cheek. He wanted to make sure that they were feeling real sweet on him as they went out the door, and then it cuts to Netta, and she just, like you said, cuts to the bone, no emotion, just my usefulness for you has run out, time to drop you. Sorry, see you later. It was time for you. And I feel like, yes, you know, it's a game move, and yes, she's making the right move for her game, but telling somebody that when they're very emotionally vulnerable as they're walking out the door, talking to Arissa on the verge of tears, and then hearing that come from somebody, that's gonna bury a wedge in their opinion of that person, and it's only gonna grow wider as they hit the jury house and they're replaying those messages in their head, thinking about all of these things, right? So I worry about that with her, but we'll see. I don't know.
I agree with you, and you know, Jay, here's the thing. Sometimes you get caught up in the emotion of the moment when you're giving those messages, and I don't think you're fully thinking the game through, and sometimes it gets the better of you. Believe me, I know. And it does happen. And yeah, you're right. That's going to be a downfall. Not everybody can do what for example, Mike Boogie did, standing up and saying, I hate you, I hate you, I hate you, and I hate you too, and he still stays in the game after he gives that speech on the block. I mean, very few people can pull that off, right?
Yeah.
So no, she doesn't have that. But then again, you know what? It's the first time around. So people, you know, sometimes I guess emotions just gets the better of you. And yeah, you're right. You're right. And that's why Arlie was such a smart player. He knew when to say it, when not to say it. Yep.
I found his downfall was when he was talking to people. When he had kind of given up on them, like the best example of it was when he was talking to Kenny. When Kenny realized that Arlie was turning, he was talking to Kenny and he had this like kind of glazed over look in his eyes, like he wanted to pretend like he cared what Kenny was going through and feeling, but he just couldn't, and it was all over his face. And I know that Kenny just read that like cut and dry, and he had done that with a couple people. You know, for a while he was pretending really well, but then it's like he stopped trying, and it felt like everybody could just see right through that. But he was feeling so comfy by that point that, you know, I kind of almost don't blame him, but it was hard to see because he was playing so clean until that. And I saw that, and I'm like, ooh, Arlie, you're slipping, man, you're slipping. And then it all fell apart, right? So,
you know, Arlie came to me at one point. He came to me. It was so funny. You know, when the house turned on me, This was just going into, I think, this the second week. He came up to me one morning, and it was fairly early, and he said to me, Paul, he said, I really like you, but I must let you know that from your end, I will not be talking to you much anymore, bro. I'm sorry. I said, what? He goes, no, don't take this the wrong way. It's not good for my game for me to be talking to you, but I want you to know that you're still a good guy in my, And I thought, wow, how bold of him to come up and tell me straight up. Nobody else did that, by the way. Nobody else came up and said, I'm going to shun you because obviously I want to stay with the first 5. Nobody had the guts to say that to me. But Arlie had the gall to come up to me and say, sorry, bro, you and me, now I'll be walking past you, no offense. That's game. That's game. So there you go. But did you not like that scene when Kenny and Arlie stood in the pantry and they had this face-off where Kenny goes, what's going on with you, dude? And Arlie goes, what do you mean? And he goes, what? I asked you a question. And he goes, what question? And he goes, no, seriously. I just want to know what you're thinking. And Arlie goes, thinking about what? And he goes, no. Listen. When I ask you a question, I just want to know what's on your mind. And Arlie goes, but what are you trying to ask me? Did you see that? It was
so entertaining. So entertaining.
Brilliant.
It was so fun to watch, but in my head, you can ask these girls. I am the most massive Arlie fan since day one. I will steal 20 minutes of every podcast to talk about Arlie if I can. And,
we have to stop him sometimes because he goes way overboard.
Okay, alrighty.
But that conversation, I'm like,
one more.
That was another example where he's slipping. He's not trying as hard anymore. He's letting it go by, And
Arlie's total downfall was he flipped. When he flipped, no one's going to trust him. He flipped too late. Nobody's going to trust that.
Yeah,
it was getting down to the nitty-gritty.
Well, for me, it was just seeing a naked man way too many times. I think that just, kind of put me off. And then he mooned me a few times coming out of the diary room. I just, I was like, Arlie. And then he dropped these, his private parts in cranberry juice. I don't know what that was about. He would do these insane things. And after a while, I was like, come on, bro. Like, seriously? But he's a great kid. I can't wait to tour with him and do some appearances in Ontario when he gets out, because we'll be representing, the province of Ontario, and I'm excited about that.
Yeah, he looks like a lot of fun to party with. Speaking of party, Paul, I want to ask you about this because I'm getting the sense, and I bring it up in a few of the podcasts we've done, that this season of Big Brother, maybe it's just Big Brother Canada versus the US, but they seem to really focus on the more fun aspects of the game. They try to make the house guests have a lot of fun, like the secret challenge where Allison and John had to get drunk and not let anyone know, or even this last week, the veto challenge of beer pong. Like it seems to be more kind of lighthearted. Did you get the feeling that that's kind of the direction the production was trying to go with while you're in the house, or did it not really seem that way? I don't know.
Well, I don't know if you've heard, Jason. I don't know if you've heard, but I was slated for season 1.
Oh, okay. Right? I did not know that.
I was slated for season 1.
I knew that.
And of course, for me, I had to pull out because the timing just wasn't right in my life.
Right.
But I also got to see the direction of the show, I guess, right? And it was very different. And I thought to myself, there was a lot of whining and grinding and a lot of romances in the house. And I thought, oh my gosh, you know what? Maybe there was a reason why I wasn't in that house.
Yeah.
Right? But then again, I must tell you that it seemed the crowd in the first season seemed a lot more mature and older than the second season, much younger. So, I got asked, do you want to come back? And I said, listen, I feel very honored. I love the show. I'm going to give it a try. A lot more prepared. But this time around, you're right. It was more geared towards the young crowd having fun, which was also a little tough for me because, let's face it, some of those kids were quite younger than I was. And so what I told John, the executive producer there, I told him, I said, listen, I'm going to try to have a relationship with Canada. I might not have the best game going in there. I might not be able to compete with these young kids, but I'm going to make sure whenever the camera was on me, no matter what I was doing, I was going to give them entertainment. And boy, oh boy, I think I accomplished that.
Yeah, watching you dance in the backyard was a lot of fun with Adele.
Yeah,
And all the fun you guys had by the hot tub, and just there's lots of great moments. I have to say, I loved your mustard in the water joke. It's too bad nobody else thought that was funny, because I thought it was hilarious. I would have laughed my face off if I was in there. That would have been awesome.
And it looked like real orange juice. I'm telling you, the texture and everything in the same bottle itself, it was planned to the T. And you know while you're doing a prank, you always wonder what it's going to do to the house. Because Deli already told me, stay low, Paul. Don't smile. Don't do anything. Act like you're senile. Act like you're 95 years old and you can't walk up straight. So every time I was in front of them, I'd have this, I can't do anything. And I was like, come on, Deli. So once in a while, I just have this itch to do something. And, of course, the mustard water came to mind. But let me tell you something. Originally, it was supposed to go in the fridge, and they were supposed to just drink it. That was the original plan.
Ew.
But when I saw Kenny coming downstairs and knowing that he has a gag reflex thing going on and he gets really ill, I was like, oh my gosh. So I ran from the hammock into the kitchen and I grabbed it before he grabbed it to drink it. That's when I said, okay, I'm losing it. I can't take this anymore. I'm drinking it. Andrew freaks out. Kenny freaks out. Sarah starts crying. I thought it was funny. I thought it was funny.
Oh, it's so good. So good.
Well, and it's funny. We did a cast impressions video at the very, very beginning of the season, and I think every single person that I had an impression about, I was wrong.
Me too.
I said that, Paul, I thought you were going to go really far in the game, because I was like, he's going to be that older person that people look to for advice, and he's going to just kind of float under the radar, and then it just totally didn't go like that. And it was really, I was so bummed out when you left, because especially, at least we got to see a little bit with you and Kyle and Adele, which was good, but it really sucked, because I was like, this is going to be like Chicken George and like Jerry from Dan's season, like combined. It's going to be amazing, and unfortunately.
I was disappointed to see Paul not play the strategy Paul talked about in his bio, because you're going to go in there and be lovable and be the big teddy bear, and I totally thought that's what it was going to be. And then you just hit the first HOH, you become this mob boss up in the HOH room, and then you turn yourself into the villain week 2, and I'm like, what is going on with this guy? This is the exact opposite game he said he's going to play.
Okay, listen. The thing is, you never know what to really expect from Paul. I just came from my neighbor's house, and I stole his clicker, the clicker to open up the garage door, and I stood across the street, and every time he would shut it and go in the house, halfway up the stairs to his house, I'd click it, and it'd close. And like 7 or 8 times, the guy keeps coming out, and he's getting more flustered, thinking that the garage door is busted, right? I mean, I do stuff like that all the time. So when I was in the house, the first week, I was playing all these pranks on people, and I thought, oh my gosh, you guys are cracking up. And then you guys didn't even see it. So now I'm thinking, wait a minute, the first week shot, I'm really not getting along with one of the people in the house. Some of the statements being made and things like that I'm not too happy with, and I'm thinking, okay, I'm going to call this guy out, and everybody's going to side with Paul because they know what happened in the first week. Well, guess what? It didn't quite work out that way. Except for 2 people that stood up for me, but then the feeds went down, and you didn't see that.
Yeah.
No, the feeds go down way too often. Can you tell what happened the first week of the house? Is there anything in particular you want to tell us?
He can't tell us anything. His audio left again.
Paul, maybe it's your headphone jack. Maybe it's just not plugged in all the way on the computer.
I hope that's it.
Oh, no, not again.
It's okay. We can do a series of like 7 podcasts with Paul. All,
Hold on.
between 2 and 20 minutes long.
You may be having computer trouble.
think he's telling us he's turning into a butterfly. Yeah.
Mute him. Unmute him. Paul, unplug your headphones from the computer all the way, and then plug them back in, maybe? Yeah, okay, out now. Plug them back in. Yeah, stick it in the
You
hole.
know what? It's his neighbor with the mute remote across the road. He's clicking it on his...
He's like, yeah, you're right.
Yeah. Well, I don't know. Do we want to start another one? Yeah.
Okay, no, this time I'm not gonna eject Paul because we had issues last time. So I'll get Paul to leave it, and then himself, and then I'll re-add him in.
Okay. Try that.
So I think, Paul, you just got to hit like the little red hang-up phone thingy on the top there of your head. Oh, you have a microphone on there now.
No.
No habla español.
So
Hey, Paul, yeah, just hit the big red hang-up phone thing. There we go. Okay, cool. Then we'll just add him back in. Okay. Oh my goodness. Sorry, guys.
It's worth it. It's worth it.
That's so weird. I don't know why it keeps doing that to him.
Maybe his computer. I don't know.
He just said, hey, we got 24 minutes out of that one. Oh my goodness.
Yeah.
See if I can grab the link here again.
So, Dee, I wanted to ask you about what are some of the speculations of people in the house on where Netta is right now? Do they think that she got like taken out of the game, or
they are thinking maybe that she got to go on a trip, that they flew her somewhere, something of that nature.
She's been gone for like 2 days now, or?
Yeah, but I think they probably had the instant eviction.
Today?
Yes, today.
So she's back in the house?
I think they had the instant eviction yesterday when the feeds went down.
There we go.
Okay.
Oh, we have Paul back, but I don't know if we have audio.
At that time, she would have came back out and, done her eviction process.
Right.
So I think she's probably back in the house now from the war room.
Paul, where's your headphones now, man? What's going on?
But yeah, they were speculating all kinds of things. I think, of course they think aliens come and grabbed her or something. But mostly, they thought she got a trip of some kind.
Oh my God, am I going to have to make a whole new one again? I must have to. But he doesn't have headphones on, though.
I can't even see him.
Oh, you can't see him? I can see him there at the bottom. Now he's got headphones in his hands.
I can't see him at the bottom at all. I see black, that's all.
Oh, I see him.
Yeah, I can see him there.
No, I don't see him at all.
Anything?
No.
I don't.
Okay, I think we're going to have to do a new one.
Yeah.
Oh my goodness. Okay. Let's just stay on here until I have it rigged up this time for real, Hold on. Oh my God. Just like 17 different videos. Hold on a moment.
We're getting to know Paul intimately while we wait. It's a tongue and mouth or a tongue and eye exam.
Oh my goodness. This is funny though.
I guess
now
Netta
we're getting a mammogram or whatever that's called right now.
Yeah.
Oh goodness me, oh my. Okay.
So what are you doing? Cutting this call? Do we need to cut it and just all start over?
I got it right here. I'm sending it to you guys right now. Hold on a second. Hanging this one. Hey guys, we're back. Just wait for everyone else to join.
Hello?
Hi. So the beauty of this is after we're done, I'm just going to grab all the videos and I will super clip them all together.
So we're not live yet, right?
Oh, we are right now, yeah.
We are now?
Yes, ma'am.
We don't have Paul. We don't have Justin.
I know. I sent in the link. You should be joining us in about a second here. I'm so sorry. I don't know what is going on with this. I don't know if it's Paul or me or what is going on, but I swear I'm not hitting anything.
I wonder what's going on.
It's so weird. Just waiting for him to...
You think it's your computer or Paul's?
No, I don't think it's mine.
We can hear all of ourselves.
We're all fine. It's Paul that we can't.
So I'm not going to mess with anything at this point. I'll just live feed, I'll just share the links for this one. But other than that, I'm just going to leave this one alone.
What, were you messing around?
Well, no, I was just sending links out and everything and putting on jokers and all that stuff, but I don't know. I don't think I'm clicking anything wrong.
Yeah.
But I'll just do nothing, literally. And where did he go now?
Still in the other one?
No. Oh, no, he just saw it now. He should be coming in right this second. Is this a sign from the lords, the Big Brother gods?
Yeah. You're not allowed to talk to Hostess.
He's back.
There he comes.
But there's still...
Oh, no.
Audio.
Oh, dear.
Yeah.
Oh, dear.
Still can't see him. He's got computer trouble.
I'm trying to Google it right now to try to figure out if there's something on his end.
What does that say? Oh, he has to change the settings for his headset, I think.
Oh, okay. Yeah, do that then.
Because that was happening with my headset. You have to change the default to whatever jack you're using.
Oh.
So.
All I did was plug mine in.
Yeah. I don't know. You could try that, Paul. You could try going into your settings to change your microphone setting. Maybe that's... Click on the gear. I don't know.
Yeah, that's what this website's saying. Click the little gear that's beside the hang-up button. There's a little cog.
Okay.
Oh!
Hey.
There he is. Yeah.
You guys got me now?
Yes.
What?
We see ya, Paul.
Okay. Listen, during that commercial break, 2 of those products I did not endorse, just to let you know. Okay? Just keep that in mind there, because we got to, during these commercial breaks, when we take a few minutes, we have to endorse those products.
It's a good thing you're such a great guest, Paul, because it makes these little technical outings worth it, So.
Well, we got 23 minutes out of the last session, which is pretty good. So if we can get another 20 minutes and then break for commercials, that'll be silent, but I'll do the commercials. Next, we're going to review the iPhone. Okay. Okay. So, can we talk about why I'm not wearing a hat today?
Yeah.
Yes.
I feel a little naked right now, and I need to get that back because my fans don't notice me. When I walk to the malls, they tell me, "Wait a minute, are you PJ? Where's your hat?" It seems to be one of those things. Without my hat, nobody even knows who I am. It's crazy. It's insane, dude. See that? Alrighty.
Dude.
Let's go. Do you want to intro this? Go ahead. One of you guys intro this.
Well, Paul's not wearing his hat, but he wants to be wearing a hat. So he brought a stack of hats with him. And he wants you guys to vote on which hat you'd like. Is that right, Paul?
Yeah, let's do that.
Okay.
Let's see the choices, Paul.
All right, Here we go. Here's the first hat. I just brought a couple, okay? I have a lot more, but this is the first one.
Are we using Twitter for this? Is that what we're using?
Sure, whichever one you guys are using there, because,
For the voting?
This is just my debonair kind of, just trying to, Okay, you see it now? All black, right? Got
Classic.
it?
Right.
Yeah.
Okay. Okay, right. Here's a little funky. What? Like that? What do you think? Okay,
Like
got
that.
Oh,
I like
okay, here we
that
go.
one, yeah.
Okay, here we go. Oh, now here's a okay, I'll keep that one for last. All right, here we go. Now,
The suspense.
Oh. You didn't have that one in the house, did you? And his audio's gone again. God dang it.
It's Beans. I see him. He's causing all this trouble.
Is he gone again?
Hit the cog again. This is insane.
Is he gone again?
Yeah.
If you hit the little cog thing on the top again, maybe that'll work again.
So do I not need to tweet out this hat thing?
Just wait a second.
Okay.
Okay, let me see here.
Yeah!
You know what? Okay, you know what? Actually, it's weird. I just clicked the settings, so I can't technically see if you're pulling any mean faces at me, but that's okay, because we're good, right?
We're good.
Sure.
Right. This
So
is
that
actually...
white hat, though, Paul, that white one, you didn't have that one in the house, though, did you?
No, I only had 6 minutes to pack.
Oh, okay, okay.
So
I didn't
really
think I'd
and
seen that
truly,
one.
half the stuff was in my... Okay, so you ready? This one actually, you know, my son's name is Levi, so he loves the fact that I'm wearing a Levi's hat, so he likes that. Here we go.
Ooh, that's a nice one.
Okay,
I like that one.
Okay, here we go. Oh, here we go, here we go.
That's a gooder.
Yeah, I like that one, eh? Alrighty, go a little fast here. Okay. Woo! This is my most expensive one. I won't tell you how much I paid for this one, but it was top dollar. Top dollar. Alrighty. Here we go.
Maybe you should just wear all of them?
No, I can't do that.
Yeah.
Okay, this is Paulina right here.
Oh!
That's Paulina right there.
I kind of love that one.
That's Paulina right there, girl. That's Paulina. Totally. I can fight. Okay. And here's a little treat for you all the way from the BB house. All the way from the BB house. That's the original.
Yeah, buddy.
All
That's
right.
the
There you go.
original. Right there. Alrighty. So you guys decide now which one you want me to wear. Let the fans decide. Give them a couple of minutes.
Okay, until the fans decide, I have decided you have to wear Paulina until the fans decide what hat you're gonna wear.
Is that a consensus amongst you all there?
Yeah.
Paulina, until we decide. Is that it?
Yeah, I like it.
Yeah.
All right, let's do this.
Beauty.
All right, let's do this. I'll even give it a bit of a flair.
Awesome.
All righty. There we go. Okay.
Okay, guys, so comment on the YouTube video below which one you want Paul to wear, or tweet it on Twitter. Use the hashtag RealityCsek. What just happened?
Did you lose me again?
No.
Okay.
There we go.
We're good.
Excellent.
Okay. So, what else you guys want to talk about?
Okay, this is not anything big, like it didn't have a huge impact on the game, but Adele using that veto thing, what were your thoughts on that? Do you think it was good for him to use it, didn't matter, or do you think that was the right time? Just kind of your thoughts on that.
Well, you know what, for me, I felt as though he needed to use it sooner or later. I think, did he have a time limit on that?
No,
I wasn't there for that.
So if he didn't use it that week, he only really had one more week to use it, because after that, everybody plays in veto. So he can't just tell somebody you're sitting out, right? So it was going to be this week or next week. That would have been the only time he could really do it. So.
And that's why he wanted to use it,
Just to use it, maybe? You know, I don't know.
Yeah.
The way I understood it from the feeds, he wanted to use it just because he didn't want to let it go to waste.
Right.
Yeah, and you know what? I mean, personally, I think that the only downfall to him using it was that it almost forced Allison's hand because she got a little scared there knowing that they didn't want her to play. So I think when she saw that, it kind of made her think twice about where her allegiance was, and that's why she went to the Gremlins. I think that I think that Dally gave us something to think about, and I think that's where she made that switch. What do you think?
Yeah.
I think that's what happened. I think she got a little worried there.
Now, building on
Get
that, I mean, obviously we don't want to see Adele go home, but Paul, do you think that that was a good game move for Allison and the Gremlins to keep Adele over Arlie? Because I wonder if maybe Adele made the same exact deal that Arlie was making, but he's less of a threat to them. That's the only thing I could see, is that he's going to turn on John and Netta and take the place of Arlie. But I don't know. What do you think?
I think that you hit it right on the head. You know what? Here's the thing that you have to remember. The only two people that's playing really strategic to all the alliances, there are two people that's doing that. Arlie was one of them, and Deli. They both tend to bounce from one alliance to the other, trying to keep both parties in check. Now that Arlie's gone, Deli's the one that does it. But you know, Deli is so good staying under the radar. And really and truly, I don't even think that he intends to do that. He plays hard for the veto. He plays hard for the HOH. He doesn't get it, but it still doesn't jeopardize his game. It's kind of like the, it's kind of like the old players. Like when we look at some of the players that have not won anything, who can I think of right now? Was Danielle one of them?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, you know what I mean? Didn't really win anything, but just coasted under that, until they got to a point of where they needed to win a couple to get to the end. And Deli's in that same ship. So the only thing that I'm worried about with Deli is that I still don't think that he has a true alliance in there. I think he's still on his own. That's what I think.
You don't think he has a true alliance with Heather?
No.
Mm-mm.
I don't think so. I think that it's really crucial in this game that you establish a bond and a friendship with people from the beginning, and you build on it. And as you build on it, towards the end of the game, you're drawn to certain people. Heather and Adele have not established that in the house. It's only out of desperation at this point in time, and desperation changes week by week, day by day, hour by hour, and it's almost as if you're grasping for air and trying to find whatever you can to just keep you another week. And I think that's where Heather and Adele and Allison are sitting right now. The only people I think that are secure in who they are with the alliance is John and Netta and Rochelle and Sabrina. That's it.
Yeah,
I think Adele might be, and same with Heather, I think not having an alliance at this point in the game can almost help you more. I feel like in the beginning, being a part of a big alliance gives you protection, but at this point in the game, when you're down to, 7, being part of a pair or a trio can be really bad news because you're target number 1, whereas somebody like Deli, he's a free agent. He can work with whoever he wants. And people are going to be coming to him, asking him for their support, like the Gremlins are, like Allison is. So, if anything, he's in a pretty good position because everyone's going to be wanting him on their side. Nobody's going to be.
I agree, Jason. They're always. I mean, he can be a swing vote. They will always need that. I agree. You're right.
There's two ways to look at it, though, right? When you're looking at numbers being so low, and you have 2 people, that's a lot of votes in a small group of people.
Yeah.
When you're looking at a house of 15 people, you've got choices of which allowances you want to kind of bounce to.
Right.
At this point in time, there's really 2 mentalities there. You're right. Less people swing vote, but to me, less people, but 2 people have a vote, that's a strong alliance in that house.
And John and Netta could Jillian and Emmett this and just win 5 back-to-back challenges, but
they could.
as soon as they slip up, if Emmett and Jillian slipped up, they were gone, right? But they didn't. They managed to win out. If John and Netta do it, that's great. But I still think Adele's sitting in a pretty good spot.
I don't see John and Netta anywhere near like Emmett and Jillian. No.
Right.
I think it's kind of funny
I think
because
Adele's in a great spot too. I do.
Adele, he's kind of like the kiss of death in this game. Like, every person that he aligns with leaves, right away. So, he started aligning with Arlie, and Arlie's gone. He started aligning with Ika. Ika's gone. Paul, Kenny, or Kyle, sorry. So, it's maybe Adele should align with, John or with Netta, and then the kiss of death, the Adele curse, would get them out of the house.
Maybe.
Huh?
Maybe.
Yeah, that's a tough one, because, I mean, it's like Kyle said, how many sinking ships can you jump on before the one you jump on is going to literally sink? But that's who Dali's really become. He's become Canada's favorite player because he's always been the underdog, and I think that's what gives him that notoriety. I think that's what gives him the edge. Dali knows how to come from the top, from the bottom, and go to the top. And you know what? The good thing is, for me, it's always going to keep Dali on the edge, and it's always going to keep him fighting. I think when you get complacent, like the last couple that we saw got broken up, it's because they got too comfortable, and that's what happens. Dali is never comfortable. When that guy gets a chance to talk to you game, he talks to you.
And I want to ask about that too, and you'd probably be the best person to give insight on it, because coming into this game, my expectations of especially Heather and Adele gameplay-wise were at the bottom of the rung. Like, you can ask Kassie, when you did her cast set, I would say expect nothing from these two, and both of them have surprised me in huge ways. Like, week after week after week, I saw Adele giving very, very acute, precise advice to different people. He was telling Kyle, they're going to backdoor one of us. That's going to be the plan. They're going to pull Paul down and put one of us up. And sure enough, that happened to Kyle. And the next week, he was giving you advice, don't look too happy, don't look too comfortable, don't be dancing in the backyard. You can't look comfortable because they're going to get suspicious. Then the next week, he's telling Ika, you gotta suck up to those girls, you gotta be friends with them, or they're going to get you out. Every week, he's calling it, like, bang on. And is Adele, like, a super fan that just wasn't made aware of to all of us? Like, because he seems to have a really good handle on this game, but they just don't really seem to make it a big deal on the show. And, like, having known him so well, can you say that he, like, knows exactly what's going on at any given second, or is he just getting lucky in his calls?
You know what, Adele, what he has that a lot of people don't have is that he has the charisma to charm people. He does have that, and he's very good at it, right? I mean, I remember having this conversation with him in the tub, and we had many conversations, and he said to me, Paul, what do I have to do, in regards to Andrew? And I said, listen, the only thing you have to do is stroke his ego. Do not question his authority in the house. He's the top dog, but just really stroke his ego. And what does Dali do? He goes in the kitchen and he says, how do you boil a pot of water, Andrew? And Andrew says, oh, you got to turn the knob right here, Dali, and then you got to boil it to this degrees. And then Dali goes, wow, did you go to cooking school for that? And Andrew goes, well, I didn't, but I really wanted to go. And Dali goes, wow, you should go. Like, he has that ability, right, to make you feel like he's so, wanting to get to know who you are. And I think genuinely he does, but he also plays the game. And he's done that almost with everybody in the house. He knows how to have a conversation with you and how to share with you, and people respect that. People like that. Unfortunately, Ika did not want to play the game. She was very straight up and honest with people the first week. Listen, I'm going to tell you exactly how I feel, right? And people saw that. That's why she went on the block. People said to me, put up Anik, because Anik was just a little too much energy in the house, kind of rubbing people the wrong way a little bit, Unfortunately, sweet girl, but first impressions goes a long way. And then Ika was the second one. That's where the house wanted. And then, of course, Andrew, because he was a bit of a, really, really forceful the first couple of nights, especially the first night we partied. Yeah. So, you know what I mean? But Dali, always friendly, always laughing, always having fun. People like having people like that around.
That reminded me of something. Probably one of my most favorite moments of the season, as little as it was. But when you fell asleep on the couch during that relaxation circle and she tickled your nose with the feather, woke you up. It just killed me. That was so funny. But
there were many a times though that I wasn't really sleeping. It was for the effect, right? Yeah. And so there were times that I would pretend to be snoring and sleeping, but really I was listening to what everybody else was saying. And it's a little tactic that I used. Even at one point I was outside and I was laying down and they were all talking about, game and stuff. And I just kept on snoring louder and louder. And the louder I snored, the more they thought that they could keep talking game. I did that sometimes even in the bedroom. I would just start snoring like crazy, and then I'd start speaking in my sleep. And they'd be like, oh my gosh, he's saying something. And then I'd say something like with somebody's name in it, and then all like lit up. Listen, hold on, Paul's talking. And I'd play into that so much because I knew they were listening to me. It was the funniest thing.
Oh, that's great.
Oh, how funny.
Sounds like you knew how to...
Just on a quick side note here, Paul, I've had 3 people tell me that they like the Levi hat the most.
What?
So that one's in the furthest lead right now, just FYI.
Yeah. I'm saving this one for the Pride Parade, so it's all good.
Okay, fair enough.
Yeah.
Switch over.
All right, here we go. Woo! I love this hat. All right, good stuff. Good stuff. All righty.
That's a good pick. I like it too.
So let me ask you a question. Can I
Sure.
ask you a question? I know I'm being interviewed, but I do this sometimes. This is what I do. What did you think when the whole thing went down and the feeds went off and I made that accusation? Give me some feedback. What did you think as an audience kind of watching that? Because it's been very interesting listening to various folks talk to me about that and how they felt about me a couple of weeks after that happened.
D?
You mean whenever the Andrew thing happened and all that, and the feeds went down and all that? Is that what you mean? Well, I assumed that something had happened prior with you and Andrew, and there was bad blood there, and that you two had some stuff to solve, and they cut the feeds. Never once did I think it was only you, because it takes 2 to tango.
Interesting. Interesting. What about you, Jay?
If it wasn't for that mirror scene when you were talking to yourself in the bathroom saying, I got to become the bad guy, I would have thought that it was just you being emotional and, grasping at straws. And it was so hard for me, too, because my wife turned to me, she says, is that really going to work? I'm like, it might. It's probably not the best plan.
He wasn't the bad guy for very long.
I know. I said, it's probably not the best plan, but it's kind of all Paul has right now. So we'll see, I guess. But, maybe even just harking back to BB15, the whole racist thing getting thrown around, I feel like it got thrown around too loosely. So initially, I was kind of not super pumped about you accusing him like that because, it just, the whole thing around racism. But then when you were talking to yourself in the mirror, I'm like, oh, okay, so this was sort of pre-planned. I guess we'll see how it goes, but...
Out of context, I saw it just on the live feeds right before they cut. And I used to work in the bar atmosphere, so I know, and I'm from Alberta, so I kind of know that Andrew mentality of oh, I'm so awesome. So I kind of was like, yeah, that's probably something he's doing. So I actually believe that was the truth just because of what I know of the bar industry males and Albertan males also. So I believed it.
Andrew doesn't fit that type of, because I'm right there with you, Cass. We're from the same town. I didn't think that he really fit that identically, but I hear what you're saying.
No, I didn't say he fit it. I didn't say he fit it, but I said
it wouldn't surprise you, right?
It didn't seem like something that would be out of character for an Albertan bar industry guy to do. Yeah. So I kind of thought it was awesome and hilarious when I figured out that Paul was doing it just to be a jerk. It was so funny.
And despite what you were trying to go for, Paul, I was really happy about everybody standing up for Andrew because nobody else really believed he was a racist. So I was pretty excited to see everybody come to bat for him, even though it didn't really work out in your favor. But
Well, also what I noticed, Paul, was that I kept hearing you on the feeds talk about things that had happened prior. Things that had happened prior. So I knew, because I watch feeds 24/7, so I knew that something had happened that first week that we did not see.
Yeah. And if I may, first of all, I appreciate individuals being open and honest with me about, how they felt. I appreciate that, Jason, because the thing is that what happens when you come out of the house? A lot of people would have said something about you when you were in the house, but when you do an interview with them or when you meet them in person, they don't tell you about what their thoughts really were. I mean, and that's sad because I really want to get the sense of, what people were thinking. And then I can kind of explain my point of view or where I was coming from. And you're right, actually, Dee. I was hoping that, and you know, being a fan of the show for so many years, I don't know why I didn't know that the first week it's never live. It's never, the feeds are never on. That's what somebody told me. Like, how many years have you been watching, Paul? Everybody knows that. I was like, I didn't know that. So that was like, what? So, of course, that threw me for a loop. But the second thing is that I know that you got a bit of a taste of it where he had said to Ika, you know, that's the urban coming out of you or something. I know that a lot of you guys, I don't know if you're aware of it, but that was one of the statements that you guys did hear.
Yeah,
I heard that. Yeah.
And you know, the funniest thing was that his first statement was, before that he said, oh, that's the black coming out of you. And then he caught himself when Ika rolled her eyes and looked at Rochelle, and then he caught himself and said, oh, okay, that's the urban coming out of you. But you didn't hear the first sentence prior to him saying urban when he caught himself. But those are the kind of things that you don't hear sometimes and see. And when I tried to apologize to him, which I did on numerous occasions, and I always say to people, listen, sometimes it's not so much about me labeling you, because I don't think that Andrew is a racist. Let me just put that on the record right now. I don't think that he is. Okay?
Yeah.
But what I will say is that Andrew needs to reflect on this experience and look at what he says and what he does before he calls people hypocrites, because your character was very much defined with Canada voting you out of that house. There was a reason for it, and it was not because you were the first 5 alliance. It was because of your character in the house. So that's why I was trying to talk to him and say, Andrew, I'm a 43-year-old man. I have a family. I've lived in Cape Town, South Africa. I grew up during the apartheid regime. I saw a man go to jail for 27 years for equality, my friend. You have to watch what you say, especially when you don't know anybody in that house, brother. You coming in the first week and you making these statements. You just can't do that. And unfortunately, I'm not Howie. I can't carry somebody out of the room and have somebody make statements without saying something. That's not my character. And maybe that's the reason why they put me on the show.
Yeah.
That was, by the way, amazing reference. I just have to put that in there.
And you know what,
I
Paul?
love Howie.
I went on a bit of a rant, I think, to Cassie when that happened. Like, when we saw the clip of Andrew saying that, I didn't see that's the black coming out of you, but
Yeah, you did.
well, I saw the urban, I think, not the black. Regardless of what he said, it reminded me a lot of BB-15 with Candace and Aaron when she said, "Oh, the Shaniqua is going to come out," and everybody lost their minds about that, and everyone called it racist. And I have a real big problem with that, because I don't think either cases are a situation of racism. Because in my mind, racism is something that comes from a place of hate. You know, if Andrew stood up and said, "Quit being such an N-word," or something like just really bad like that. But I think what he was doing was being stereotypical, and I think that stereotyping and racism get mixed up and jumbled, and it all just gets labeled racism. And I don't like that, because racism is such a heavy word. It has a lot of emotion, a lot of baggage, and it gets thrown around so easily, and it does bother me. And that's why your comment bothered me, because all they showed was that one clip of him saying that, and I said, that is not racism. There's no way that's racism. There's no hate there. He was just making a comment about a stereotype, and I said it in the cast interview about Ika. I said, I'm sure the ghetto is going to come out at some point, and Cassie was just like, "Whoa, I'm not touching that."
Yeah, I was like, "Don't go there, man."
I said it's the same thing with Candace. You know, Ika to me in her bio seemed like a very articulate, very intelligent young black woman, and when you are an articulate and intelligent young black woman, to all of a sudden go black or urban or ghetto and just take that attitude, that edge, right? It almost changes people's perception of you. So I totally get what Andrew was saying. I don't think it's racism, but I saw the same thing last year with Candace. So I don't know. What do you think about that? I know my opinion's not always the most popular, but I'm going to stand by it.
You're always entitled to your opinion, and that's what I love about motivational speaking and meeting with youth and meeting with different individuals, is that everybody has an opinion, and I always believe that it's not the opinions that shapes people, it's the respect that we have for each other, right? And so the only one that I wanted to really give that respect to was, in a sense, to have a conversation and apologize to Andrew. You see, that's where the difference comes, Jason. When you have people in this world that might have a difference of opinion but are not willing to listen to people, that's what ignorance is all about, right?
Yeah.
So this is what I'm saying, though. If Andrew really, was not being biased or stereotypical, right? But in a sense, he believed that and didn't even want to hear my justification for calling him that, that speaks volumes. Because, Jason, if you said something to me that hurt my feelings, people do this often, right? You hurt somebody else's feelings. And the minute that person comes and tells you that you did, you justify your actions without just apologizing. Right. We do that all the time. I came to him on numerous occasions, wanted to shake his hand and say, Andrew, I'm not calling you a racist. That was wrong. But I really want you to be careful when you start to stereotype people and you start to try different accents. And at one point, he even tried to talk Jamaican to Ika, and Ika was just what are you doing?
I didn't like that. He took it way too far.
You know what I'm saying?
Sure.
When Rob Ford, our mayor of Toronto, does that here in a drunken stupor, trying to talk Jamaican, it gets people in an uproar because, in a sense, what are you really trying to do? So I'm not, like I said, Jason, it's not so much about that. It's that you will never go into a Chinese restaurant and order Chinese food and try to speak like the Chinese person working there. You wouldn't do that, right? Because they'd call you a racist. They'd say, what are you doing? I was just trying to explain to Andrew that some people's perception is another person's reality. Sometimes you have to be very careful what you say. That's all I was trying to say. But he wouldn't even listen to me. That's the difference, right?
Yeah, I think Andrew probably said what others were thinking, and just the act of voicing it probably got him in a lot of hot water. So I don't agree with what he did. He doesn't need to say things like that. Nobody really does need to say things like that. But when people start labeling him a racist, then it's a different thing, right? Even with Erin last year on BB15, I don't think she was a racist. I don't think anything he did in that house justified calling her a racist. But that's where people went, right?
And it didn't also help that he was being sexist, and he was probably more sexist than anything in the house, because every second word that came out of his mouth was like something, to the females in the house, and I had to walk away half the times. But it didn't also help when he screamed at Ika coming in after she came from, like, the stuff that was said. I think it didn't help his cause either. Like, you know what I mean? Canada would have probably forgiven him for some of the comments he made. But Andrew said it himself. I'm not a jerk sometimes. I'm a jerk all the time. You said it, right?
But you got it backwards. But yeah, I know what you said. Yeah, I thought that was a pretty funny comment. So.
Yeah, you were just staying true to who he was, right?
Yeah.
But listen, for the record, let me say this, right? I think that when you are in the house, there are times that you can say things that you don't really mean. Mm-hmm. That's the honest truth. He's probably a very nice guy. And listen, he was very, very much with the first five, and he stuck with them.
Mm-hmm. And what ended up happening is I even had quite a bit of a hate on for Andrew. Not a hate, but I was just sick of him. Sick of Allison, sick of the first five, sick of Sabrina, sick of everyone who's even attached to Sabrina. But then, that eviction night, my heart broke for him. Like, that was probably one of the worst evictions I've ever watched. Like, I had tears in my eyes. My heart was broken. What did you think about the audience booing him? Like, do you think that is acceptable or justified? What do you think about that?
Wow. Listen, I'm about motivating people. I'm about making people feel good about who they are, being authentic, treating each other with respect. I mean, I preach it, right? And so, listen, Canada was very upset with him. He said some things in that house that was more than just game. Like, there's a lot of things that you could say about people in the game, but I think you took it to another level. You know what I mean? Like you'd say to Sabrina, you'd say to her, the only reason why females can't win this game is because you can't control your emotions. Like, I mean, things like that goes beyond just alliances and, you know, the game, it's really hitting a sore spot with a lot of women out there fighting for equality, and there's a lot of things he hit on. So I can understand the anger, but let me tell you something. I mean, whoever wants to be voted out by Canada, that must be, I mean, we were all fighting not to get evicted the first week. I think that's why I went for the first HOH, because I was petrified of being the old guy in the house, and I was just the easy pick. I was like, forget that. I'm taking the first HOH, and I don't care what they say, because besides Netta, everybody else would have wanted the HOH. That's what they told me. So the fact that I had it guaranteed me at least 2 weeks for Canada to get to know me. I think the worst thing you ever want is probably to be third nominated before the first two goes to the, you know, the final two. You don't want to be the first one voted out of the House first week. And I don't think you ever want to be voted out by Canada. I think that's got to be the worst. And truly and honestly, he looked like he was going to cry. Yeah. This guy was so assured of himself that you couldn't knock him over in that house. I just avoided him because I knew that he was ready at any time, and I wasn't willing to go back there. But believe me, he came out like a scared little puppy, and you could see it. And I don't wish that upon anybody. I really don't.
No, I don't either.
Yeah, I think Andrew's problem was
the booing to me, no.
It's been like the last season of Big Brother 15. They've allowed the audiences to get in on things. So during like evictions, when Erin did her vote, the audience was booing, and I'm just like, shut up, audience! Like, we're not here to listen to you. Like, production, turn the audience down. We don't give a crap what they have to say, and it just seems to be continuing. Now it's getting into the evictions. It's getting into the DRs. Like, you're hearing the audience in the background for pretty much everything every Thursday, and it's so annoying. And I just think that, I don't know if it's production, they're trying to get the audience to be more involved, but I think it is rude and disgusting and horrific, and I don't think it should be acceptable.
Well, listen, I know a lot of people that were in the audience. I asked for a front row seat. I didn't get it, unfortunately. I totally understand that. But the thing is that I think that they asked people not to boo. And unfortunately, you know what? People were hurt. People were upset at what he had said. And that's what happened. You can't control, 200-300 people that's sitting in an audience. You can't control them. But I know that they had asked them. That's what people have said to me. They asked them not to, and some people still did.
I just find it funny, like, for you coming out of the house then, I've always found that fans and stuff of Big Brother, it's a great community, but there is a select group that goes a little crazy and goes after these people like they have been personally attacked, and I think that it's wrong. And these are people playing a game, and people need to realize that these are human beings who live a normal life, who have wives, who have children, who have people they work with. Just because you don't like what they did in the game doesn't mean that they're a horrible, disgusting person and you need to attack them. So for you leaving the house, is that something that you dealt with, or was it not so bad for you?
Oh my gosh! I mean, my kids had to be kept out of school.
Really?
The night that I kept that I called Andrew, they couldn't go to school the next day. It was so bad that the hate mail that was coming through was just unbelievable.
Oh my God!
People were very upset. My wife spent a couple of nights very upset and in tears. So just the horrific things that people were saying about me. And thank God. Seriously, thank God that I had 2 weeks to recoup my image with the public, because you got to see me more of the entertainer, more of the goofy guy, the funny guy, and people got to really like me. That was the difference. I really played to Canada. I got them to see who I was besides what I said. Unfortunately, other people in the house continue to play that same role that just caused more detriment to themselves. But let me tell you, yeah, it wasn't a pretty thing, and I wasn't happy to hear that when I came out of the house.
That's terrible.
Yeah, that's crazy.
Yeah.
And I mean, I can only imagine the scale that like Erin from BB15 had it. Like, she probably had to go underground for a number of months, I bet, right? Like, and I'm sure Andrew's getting a bit of it too, but
Andrew,
that's crazy.
Is Andrew on Twitter yet?
I don't know.
I don't think so. I don't think so. I don't think so. Yeah, I don't think so.
I really liked the way Andrew left. I mean, not the way he left, but like his whole time in the house, I could see why he got so power hungry, I guess, or the way he acted, because he was in a very comfortable alliance. He was in a very good spot. He had all the power, and he could maybe feel like he could do whatever he wanted. And then when Canada took him from the top rung and put him on the bottom rung in a split second, I could see his attitude changed. His whole persona changed. He was like a lost little puppy after that. You could see him breaking down at the hot tub all week. He was just so defeated. And then when he came out, like he almost looked scared when he came out to talk to Arissa. Like he almost didn't want to face it. I'm Canada's most hated player right now, and I don't like that, right? But even going further into the sideshow, seeing the way he reacted to the news from Kenny and the different twists and turns about the game, and even the way he answered Arissa's questions, I feel like he does have a really good head on his shoulders. He's got a really good attitude, and maybe just the power in the house is what got to him. And especially when you're not around a bunch of people, you're just around a select few people that you're comfortable with, things come out, and you forget you're being watched. So, but I really like the way things turned out for him after when he came out. I think it made him look a lot better than when he was in the house. Jason, one of my motivational speeches that I talk about is change, accepting change. And sometimes what I do is when I go into schools and I talk about bullies, right? Because that's a big thing in our schools right now, especially with elementary schools. Young kids are being bullied. The percentage of teachers that actually say they catch it is very, very small. It does happen in our schools. It's a very big issue. But let me tell you something. Sometimes we don't know what our actions causes and our words, how much they hurt sometimes, until somebody else gets to see you do it. And in this case, I really hope that Andrew has had a chance to really think about some of the stuff that he said, because if you don't learn from this lesson, it was a very harsh one to learn, but if you don't learn from this, I don't think that there's anything else that will ever teach him that sometimes you really have to be careful what you say, because it does hurt people. Words, they do affect people. But let me tell you something. When he shook my hand before I left the house, I don't know if you caught that. He came up and he actually shook my hand. And when he looked into my eyes, I truly felt like that was kind of his way of saying, you know what, you're okay in my books. You didn't have to shake my hand. If anything, to be honest with you, I thought going up the stairs he was going to call me something like he did with Ika. I thought he was going to curse at me or say something, because that would have been your typical Andrew, right? But he didn't do that, bro. He didn't say a thing. He shook my hand, and he let me walk out that door with, holding, much respect for me. So, I mean, that to me said volumes about his character. Yeah.
Well, and I think Andrew is a good guy, though, underneath it all. I think when you go into the house, things get magnified, and the house makes you crazy, and sometimes you end up becoming a version of yourself that you don't even know that's in you until you're in the house. So I really think that everyone needs to kind of just lay off Andrew. Like, it was a game. Yeah, he may have said things that were silly and stupid, but he's a human being. He played a game. The house changed him, but he's out now, and now he can learn from his mistakes and move on. I don't think people should peg him for that's who he is from this day forward. I don't think that that's fair.
And you hear that from a lot of players, too. You hear that who you are in the house isn't who you are in real life. And you hear that from anybody on any show.
Hello, Dan Giesling, prime example. Dan was a lunatic. But he's not like that in real life. And he is a maniacal lunatic. But that's a prime example. But people don't go after him for that because he could sell it a little bit better over TV than, Andrew could. So that's just the truth of it. Like, the most crazy people are not like that in the house or out of the house.
They went after Dan pretty good. His wife got lots of threatening.
That is true.
There's crazies out there everywhere, though, right? So. I know even talking to, Ika, she might kill me for saying this because we talk quite often, but she even said, some of her friends and family members said, what, were you crazy? You couldn't see that he was racist? Like, they were upset with her because she didn't see it. Do you know what I mean? Like, it's weird how some people see things
totally different to the way you see things when you're in the house. Even when I was watching the game from the couch, oh man, it's so different when you're actually in the actual house. So different.
I was blown away by her reaction to that too, because I totally expected her to be like, "What a racist," but she was like, "That's not racist. I don't care." I was like, "Really?
Yep.
Wow, right on. Good job, Ika."
Yep.
I was super impressed with that too. Yeah.
Yeah.
So as a viewer, Paul, as strictly a viewer, not someone who's been in this season, but strictly as a viewer, what do you think of the game? Who's left in this game, and the people that have left? What are your thoughts as a viewer?
So wow, it's so hard. Once you've been in the house, you still feel like you're playing the game, but more from a war room perspective. Like I was talking to Ika, and we almost feel like nobody truly understands unless they've been in the house. Because you almost feel like you're still connected to those people in some way, shape, or form. You feel like, I've lived with them, so you have a bit of a connection to it. So it's really hard to look at it as a viewer in a house because you feel like you're still there, but not, that's why I said the war room is a perfect example. Like, we're watching them because we're still part of the house, but we don't have any influence as to what's going on in the house. And that's kind of how we feel right now. We have our favorites, people we've bonded with, that we want to see go to the end. Like, I want Deli to win this game. I really think he deserves it. But the reality of the matter is that he has a lot of targets on his back. He's got to work extra hard. If he doesn't get an HOH or POV, he's going to be in trouble every single week. He doesn't have any strong alliances that he's built on from the beginning. I think that right now John and Netta, they're sitting in a really good spot. I think for some reason the Gremlins, Sabrina and Rochelle have really solidified their bond, and they have made it very clear they're never going to vote each other out. So the only other game plan here is for Allison, Heather, and Deli to match up to become the power three in the house. I think that's the only way it's going to work for them. If they continue to be floaters, then they don't have that strong bond with somebody. That's what's happening right now.
Yeah. No, I that's one thing that I've always been jealous of, is that that perception. Because I think Peter Brown has said that before too. Once you're in the house, everything changes about the way you see it, and I wish I could feel that and understand what that's like, but I know that the only way that can happen is once I'm in there, if I'm in there one day, right? So, but no, that war room, you're right, is like the perfect way to explain it, and it must be hard because you felt those walls, what the couch, how soft the couch is, or what it's like to be bored all day and stuff. Like there's, it's like asking a blind person to talk about color or something, right? But I guess or something like that.
And I think having been in the house for I saw Nico, I saw I saw Kyle go, and then I went. It gave me, a good 3 weeks to get that grasp. I can understand maybe the first week, maybe even second, but 3 weeks really gives you a sense of what it's like to be in that house. And not only that, I got to play in every competition, every POV. I got to be an HOH. I got to be on slop. I mean, there's nothing that I didn't do except get to evict somebody. I got the whole experience in that 3 weeks.
Yeah. Did you get to cast a vote, or you didn't get to do that? No.
That's the only thing I didn't do.
Right. So you got pretty much the full experience. That's pretty cool.
That's what I'm saying. Some people go through the whole game and never have HOH. Some people could go through the whole game and probably never play, a POV. Some people will never get to go on slop. Some people, I've had all of the experiences, and that's why when I left the show, they said to me, you sure took enough airtime for the amount of time that you were in there, because some people never got to be seen, and that's just the reality, right? So,
who was it last year, or the year before? It was like halfway through the season. They came in to give their vote, and they're like, finally, this is the first time I've gotten to cast a vote, because they'd either been HOH or on the block or something. And I'm like, I think it was like Frank or something. But
listen, when I was in there, the only people that went into the diary room was myself and Andrew and Dali and Calvi just before he left. But I mean, really and truly, Netta, Rochelle, Heather, I mean, those folks never got called, because there was just nothing, you know what I mean? We kept things entertaining all the time, so that's why we had that going on. And that's the only sad thing that I felt, though. I really felt like if Sabrina had left when they put her up, then you would have had really nobody in the house to kind of keep the momentum going of the good guy, bad guy kind of thing. People like that.
Yeah. Are you allowed to talk about the diary room stuff and production stuff now that you're out of the house, or do you have like a secrecy contract that you have to?
Listen, you know what it is too? It's about keeping the authenticity, if you can even say that's even a word, like the authentic value of the show. You don't want to give away production, you don't want to give away DR, because really and truly what you see is the entertaining part of the show. If you start to know what happens behind the scenes, it really takes away from that. So
takes away the magic.
It takes away the magic. So I like to keep that magic alive with the fans and everybody out there. And you never know. There might be an all-star cast coming back, and I'd hate to burn my bridge on that one.
Oh, for sure. I always wanted to ask questions like, if you just wanted to go to the diary room, can you just go press the button anytime and they'll let you in? Or, when they call you, do you have to go right away? Or do they get pissed off at you, kind of thing? Like,
that's a fair question, Jason, because you notice that on the live feeds you'll see people go and push the button, and then you'll see them sometimes get the red flash, and that means they're not invited in. And then other times you get the green, and then you can come in. So I mean that's on the live feeds, and you can see that. And of course, them calling you into the diary room, that happens all the time. And they're pretty good about if you want to share, then you can push it, and they'll allow you to come in and share. So I mean, and that's the place where you can really be yourself and speak into the camera and speak to whomever, right? So, no, definitely. But that's just, I mean, that's on the live feeds anyway, so.
Yeah, and you can answer or not, it's fine. Is being in DR like having a conversation with somebody? Like, are they just chatting with you about whatever, asking you questions, getting your feedback, that kind of thing?
Jason, he can't answer this stuff, you goof.
Oh, I don't know. Maybe he can. He can say no. That's fine, right?
Listen, what you see in the DR is exactly what we say in Canada, right? I mean, that's what you see, right? You see us obviously giving our opinions, who we want to vote out, things like that. It's exactly what we say when we're in the DR, which is meant to go out there for you guys to know what's going on in that sense, right? So I mean, that's as close as I can get to that one.
Yeah, for sure. For sure. No, that's fair. I'm gonna ask, and you can shut me down. That's totally cool. But I gotta ask, right? Because I've always been curious about these behind-the-scenes things. People don't like to ruin the magic. I am so deadly curious about it. That's why I talked to Kassie about this too, and Dee about that segment. How they showed.
Did we lose Dee? Did we lose Dee?
Yeah, I'm just trying to. She's having iPad issues, so I'm trying to.
I'm just glad that I'm not the only one with the technical issues tonight. So I'm happy about that. That's fine. So what were you saying?
Yeah, the segment on the sideshow when they showed how they built that challenge, how it kind of took you behind the scenes a little bit, and showed you how things work kind of behind the curtain. I really love those opportunities when people break down that fourth wall and kind of give us a bit of a peek, right? So I really like the sideshow this year. What do you think about the sideshow? Is it a nice addition? Do you see the value in it? What do you think?
Listen, oh man, you're putting me in a tough spot because I am sometimes way too honest for my own right. I think I really, I like Peter. I think Peter's a great guy, and I really think that Peter has his finger on the pulse when it comes to the show. I mean, he is an enthusiast. When he talks to him, he's very detailed. I've done his show. We've talked quite a bit. He knows Big Brother inside out. You know what I mean? He's like an Arlie, right? He's a super fan. He loves the show to death. And so I think he has some really good questions. I do think he was a little harsh with Andrew, though. I can't believe he got away with that.
I think that was a joke. I think that was a joke. Yeah.
I was a little surprised at how harsh he came. I mean, listen, Andrew came out and he blew Andrew away. Kenny comes out, who said some mean things too, and Kenny got the red carpet to walk out that like nothing happened, right? So, I mean, listen, sometimes I wonder about, the type of questions they ask depending on who it is coming out of the house. But on a side note, I think Gary is flamboyant, and I think Gary has a lot of value to add as far as charismatic. I would like Gary to ask more questions. I really would. I think that he's not asking some of the tough questions. I think Peter leads it, and Gary's a bit of the sideshow. That's just my opinion, right? I would just like Gary to start asking the questions and not have Peter kind of, you know.
I would too, you know, and me and Kassie have talked about this before too. This is kind of the good cop, bad cop kind of thing, right? Like those two are so opposite in their characters. You know, when they put on that Gary and Peter character, right? And I think that's why they loved casting them together. You know, I'm sure outside of the show they're probably best friends. I think they live together in Toronto actually. So, no, I totally get it, and I know that having seen Peter and Alex, the Shield show, that Peter isn't always like that, right? He's pretty toned down when you're just chatting with him like we are now. So I can respect the dramatic character he's putting on for the show. You know, I've said this before, that he's a wrestling fan, right? He loves the WWE. That's you know, male soap opera right there, right? They got to put on a show. They got to put on the persona. They got to make it dramatic, and I think he really draws from that a lot when he's on the show. But do you like that chance to wind down after the show? Because that's what I really love the sideshow for, is after the episode, your mind's just blown, right? It's always the eviction episode, the crazy, crazy stuff goes down. And that gives you a chance to just unwind and mellow out after all that, right?
I didn't get a chance to do the sideshow. I don't know if you noticed that. I didn't get a chance to be questioned by them, which I thought was kind of interesting. But I did get a sit down with Arissa at the end there. So some people don't get that. Some people just get swiped off. They come back for the sideshow. I think that, to be honest with you, I think a lot of people tunes out of the sideshow. I think when people kind of done with seeing the actual show, I don't think it's as popular. I think that has to do with the fact that some of the tougher questions are not just being asked. But again, like I said, I mean, the whole, you know, going back 1 minute reel back as far as what's going on, I mean, that's all fluff to me. Do you know what I mean?
Right.
Like, if you're really going to spend 10 minutes talking about the show, ask some good questions so we can really get behind the scenes of what's going on. Yeah. To me, it's not, you know. But then again, maybe this is my pitch for next year, right? Because I want to be up there doing it. So who knows?
Yeah, no, for sure. I think you'd be really good with that too. You're in town too, right? You're right there for them too.
That's right. I'm a local, right? So yeah, they don't have to shack me up for a place and everything else. I'm right here. So
yeah,
there you go. Save yourself some dollars.
Nothing against Scott. I think Scott is has a big personality, but I would have loved to have seen Paul roll onto the stage and sit and chat with Peter and Gary. That would have been great.
Oh, instead of Scott? Oh my God.
Yeah. Yeah,
see, that's the thing, though. Yeah, yep, truly. How did Scott get up there?
I don't know.
Contessa, how?
I don't know. Like, there was a lot of buzz going around because he was transgender, and like that's really the first person in Canadian television that's gone on.
Right.
But it's been played out. Like, it's freaking, you got those like RuPaul Drag Race and like all these other shows. Like, it's not exciting. It's not thrilling. It's just blah. He had nothing interesting to say. It was boring. I felt you got totally robbed on that, Paul.
Yeah. Well, you know what? Why did he also make that comment at the end there? That wasn't nice towards John's girlfriend who was sitting in the audience, right?
He didn't know that.
Yeah,
that was awkward. That was really awkward.
Yeah, that wasn't a nice thing, you know. But I mean, he didn't know, and he's a little flamboyant. I understand that. But again, like I said, you know what? Personally, I still think that Scott should have came into the house, though. I think you would have brought more dynamic to the house. You'd have shaken things up a bit. You wouldn't have just.
I think it should have been, honestly. I think it should have been Nathan.
Yeah, me too.
Nate. Yeah, I would have given him the vote too. I would have given him the vote too.
I think Nate, because I think the whole Contessa thing, and Scott, I think he would have went in and he would have probably got evicted because he would have let something slip, because he's so like you know. But I think Nate would have been funny. I think Sabrina would have went after him hard, and I think it would have been pretty interesting because I don't know. I think from a viewer standpoint, from like a superfan standpoint, I think Nate would have been way more fun than Scott and even Allison.
I could have seen him part of the Outsiders. I could have seen him part of our troop there. I could have seen that, definitely. I could have seen that. He seems like that kind of guy that we could have definitely, had a space for in the tub there, in the hot tub, for sure.
Yeah, I don't think Scott would have played a very good game, and that's why I didn't want to see him in there, because I don't want people that are just there for drama purposes. I want to see people playing the game, which is why I wasn't super excited about Heather at the start of the season. I'm like, why is she here? What is she going to bring to the table? And I'm glad that she has surpassed my expectations, because I like seeing people playing the game.
I think that's kind of the consensus with fans, though, too, with Allison. Like, we all read the bios and everything, and all of us fans voted her in because she was like this diehard super fan, and even in the war room, that's how she marketed herself. And then we're all like, what the hell is this? Like, get this girl out of the house.
Yeah.
I don't know. Like, I don't know. I don't know. I mean, she couldn't take her hands off Andrew. That was quite evident to me, and she played it literally couldn't keep her hands off Andrew. But I mean, listen, and I try to use that to my advantage too. I mean, I would see her on the hammock, and they'd be like, squirrel kissing, whatever you call it.
Gross.
And of course, I see them, and then I run up the stairs, and I walk past Sabrina, and I go, love is in the air, with a single look around. And of course, Sabrina freaking runs into the HOH room, and then Andrew storms upstairs after her, and then I became the bad guy for singing the stupid song. Like, I thought that she was going to freak out at him, and then Dali tells me that she heard me singing it, and that's why I'm such an, thing.
Yeah.
I don't understand that. You guys saw that? Did you guys see that?
Yeah, but it's just because Sabrina is a basket case. The girl cries about everything. It's like, oh, the blender is red. Wow. Like, she just cries.
No. I have to give the title to the best crier would be Mumsy. Mumsy was
Sarah.
the ultimate crier.
Oh, really?
And then Sabrina was a close follower. So the two of them shed a lot of tears, and Kenny was the third to follow, because the grumpiest people in the house, I'm sorry, I love you, Mumsy, but you were pretty grumpy in that house, and Kenny too. You guys would just walk around, and it just, I don't know, and when we did the buzzword, Mumsy didn't really. Yeah, so.
Well,
anyway,
even what Kenny did, that was gross.
I should have known at that point. When I saw him, I thought to myself, if I guy out and I saw something up, his oily body, walking in boxes. Sorry, briefs, not boxes, because boxes are okay, but briefs, running around, shaking their tushy with 5-pound this. I'm thinking, he must be gay. But no! In the house, normal, because you got Arlie running around all naked with his butt cheek showing out, dipping his behind in cranberry juice, and I'm thinking it's gotta be just normal, shaving an A on your chest and then getting all kinds of weird stuff done to your head. Okay, so listen, next to Arlie, it looks normal, but I should have freaking known, and that's what I told Ike. We were both sitting in the restaurant thinking, oh my gosh, how did we not see it? This guy, not that I'm stereotyping, but I'm just saying, he oiled his whole body up all day. And also, another thing, if you ever oil your body up, be sure to wipe things down, because you had oil all over the food, you had all over the gym equipment, you had the pool, you had
I didn't even think about that.
You had it all over the place, and he didn't go around and wipe it off. He just left it there. I'd be sliding and sliding up the gym. The weights would be sliding off my hands. I felt so gross. I felt violated. I had to take a shower afterwards. Oh, Lord, don't get me started. That's just the Paulina coming out right now.
See, okay, so that's the one thing that I liked about Kenny is that, like, okay, so Scott Contessa, he, like, is stereotypical, and then Kenny kind of breaks all those stereotypes. So I feel like this season has been, the best casting Big Brother has done since probably Big Brother 10, in my honest opinion.
Yeah.
It's just unfortunate.
Wow.
Well, okay.
12 was good.
Okay.
But anyway.
Rochelle, oh dear God. If you actually go on our cast impressions video call, I actually have a friend who went to school and was friends with Rochelle, so there's some interesting tidbits in there about her.
Oh, really?
Yes. So I thought that she might have been, ahead of it, I thought she might have been a little bit more manipulative and not so duh. But this has been good casting. I think the unfortunate thing is that it's very similar to last year for Big Brother Canada, where you had all these really strong, amazing players go out in the beginning, And I know last year it was right after Alec and then Peter left, or the opposite, I can't remember. But I quit. I was done with the season because I didn't give a crap about what Tala was doing. She's a wonderful human being, but game-wise, brutal. Andrew, brutal. Emmett and Jillian just passing things back and forth. It was so boring. And then Gary going back in the game. I lost interest for the game totally. Now for this season, it's been the exact same thing. You have players like you, Kyle, Sarah, Kenny, Andrew, like these huge players getting booted out, and I'm feeling like this is a total repeat. We're left with these bummers.
High school kids, yeah.
Exactly, and it sucks.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
it was very disappointing. As soon as you left, Paul, I knew this is what was going to happen. I was like, I felt it in my gut. I'm like, this season is going to suck.
Yeah.
I should have left, though. You must admit, one vote, I should not have left. I mean, we should have had that in the bag. And I left it to Ika. Ika said to me on the Monday, she said, Paul, I'm talking game to you now. I'm like, okay, what do you have to say? I have the votes to keep you. And I said to Ika, I said, Ika, you've got 4 more days to go until Thursday. So much can change. Yeah. How can you guarantee that? You know, I even said in the diary room, I said 45 to 55. I'll give you a 10% split there. But I really didn't think that you could hold it together because it just didn't feel right to me. And I wished I had gone with that gut instinct because Kenny was working on Mumsy all day on eviction day, and I bet you he got through to her. Yeah. If I had got to Mumsy sooner or just got to talk to her, I knew that I could have at least put in my 2 cents. But I threw my whole game into Dali and Ika's basket saying, okay, guys, I'm going to give it to you, because you knew the following week the game would change drastically. Yeah. First of all, you'd have myself and Ika and Dali, now strong team. Secondly, you had Canada's vote coming along. You know for a fact we weren't going anywhere with Canada. So things that had taken a really nice turn. And then you got things like the dance competition, which you know I would have just killed. So
I forgot about that. That would have been sick.
Then no physical competitions after that.
Oh no!
You give me the diversion. You give me. Come on, are you kidding me? I mean, really?
By the way, actually, I'm just going to throw out here, if you guys don't know how amazing Paul is at dancing, he actually posted a video of him dancing on YouTube, and I'm going to tweet it out right now. It is phenomenal.
Is this recent or is this old school, Paul?
No, I put it up about 2 weeks ago. My son was at me at a school. We were playing some ball, and a couple of kids were there, and they asked me to dance for them. So I put a little show, and I kind of put it out there for Canada to see. So yeah, man, have fun. Yeah, have fun. Yeah, I'm planning to do a lot more of that actually. You know, I'm working on a motivational series. You know, that I'm going to put on my website that's coming out soon, and I'm going to do some charity events. I'm do some judging at some dance contests this summer. I'm going to get out there. I'm going to really have fun with this. I'm going to enjoy the ride. You know, see how far it takes me, but I'm going to have some fun with it.
Cool. Oh, that's really awesome. Yeah. You know what? It was funny that the episode before, or the same episode where you brought it up in the episode that you used to dance or whatever, you walked into the HOH room when Ika was there. I think it was Ika, and you did like a little dance walk over to the couch, and I'm like, was he just popping and locking his way over to the couch? It looked just like that, but I'm like, surely he wasn't. There's no way. You know, and then the next episode was that segment of like, oh, he totally was. That was crazy. That's so cool. Yeah. So.
Oh my gosh! And you know, the first week I was in the HOH room. The first week, I would dedicate each night to like a dancer. I would do Michael Jackson one night. I'd do another dancer one night, and I'd really get up there, do like all kinds of crazy stuff. I'd jump on the bed and jump on the couch, and I'd do all these weird, wacky things. And then people told me you never got to see the first week. I was so bummed out. I wonder if they're ever going to use that footage. What do you think? You think that? Do they ever? No, probably not, eh?
No, that's a shame. It never comes out, which isn't. It's unfortunate.
Yeah, that's a
that
shame.
seems like a lot of really fun stuff probably happens, right? I want to see all your practical.
Gosh.
I want to see all your practical jokes. I think pranks are hilarious. That's what I would do with my time instead of scheming. I would just spend time pranking people. It'd be too fun.
For the first week, I was the one that got up super early. Arlie and myself would get up like obviously we didn't have a concept of the time in the house because they just mess us up with time. But I think Arlen and I were like up at like 5 o'clock in the morning, and it would take like 4 hours before the rest of the house got up. So we'd spend 4 hours in the morning up. But I was always up before Arlie, so I'd be the first one waiting in the washroom to scare people. So I got to scare Mumsy, I got to scare Sabrina, and then on the fourth night, Andrew was sick. He was really sick the first couple of days in the house.
Oh, no way.
And yeah, he was really sick. He was throwing up. He was really sick. He came into the house sick, actually, and it just got worse, right? But it was so funny because Andrew comes out like in his briefs, right? He's like in a daze, and I jump out, like trying to scare the guy, and the guy doesn't even twitch. He just goes, "Paul, that wasn't funny," and he just keeps walking, eh? So yeah, but anyway, we had some good times.
I was going to ask you that's another thing I've always wondered. Is there a clock in the house, or do you not know?
Yes, there is actually. There's a clock in the house. There's a clock on the microwave and a clock on the stove. The only problem with the clock is that every time we set it, they switch a breaker, and then it goes back to 12 o'clock.
Oh,
so
really?
We never got to see the time. There's an inside scoop.
Dan last season, when he went in the house, he made a comment about how they keep resetting the clock, because in Big Brother US, they usually don't reset it. They would leave it.
Oh, really?
And so he was like, really? They keep resetting it on you guys? And they're like, yeah. And so he's like, oh.
Yeah, they kept. It was so frustrating. We were like, we try to time things and then mess us up, but you wouldn't even know sometimes what time it was. It was the weirdest thing ever. Like, talk about a social experiment on just about every human dynamic, that you have when it comes to sleeping or eating or just, you know what I mean? Like, you're in a daze sometimes. You walk around, and a lot of times, if you're on the feeds, you'll hear them say nap time is over, right? You'll hear that, right?
Yeah.
Right.
So it's like you really get tired sometimes, but you sleep with your eyes open. It's the craziest thing to think about, but sometimes when you see somebody and they're lying on the bed and they're just staring, it's because they're not allowed to sleep. So technically, you try to sleep with your eyes open. It's the craziest thing. But
Paul, yeah. I have a comparison, and you might be able to confirm this for me. When you had your first child and you were up day and night with your wife, and you didn't know whether it was 10 o'clock in the morning or 10 o'clock at night, is that what it might be like without a clock in the Big Brother house? When you don't see daylight, you just don't know what time of day it is?
Well, you know what? I would kind of compare it to that. The only difference is that at some point you know what's going to come to an end.
Right.
In the Big Brother house, you don't really know. That's the only thing. 24 hours a day seems like a lifetime, and that's why I could see why some people are so emotional in the house. You know what I mean? Like, I truly and honestly, I was just talking to Carl today, we have such a good connection, and we only knew each other for 2 weeks, you know what I mean? And same thing with Deli. So let's see what happens, But yeah, people get very close in that house.
I've heard it compared to dog years. Like, every day feels like a week, every week feels like a couple months, every month feels like a year, right? Yeah.
You don't understand. Like, okay, it's like, you know how you plan your day? You plan your day like this. I'm going to get up, I'm going to take a shower, I'm going to go work out, then I'm going to jump in the pool, then I'm going to go lie in the hot tub, then I'm going to go lie down on the lawn for a bit, then I'm going to play like a little game, then I'm going to have another hot tub, then I'm going to take another shower, and then, like 7 hours in the day, 7 showers in the day, 4 hot tub sessions, 3 games. Like, your whole day is around doing nothing. Like, do you know what I mean? Like, that's just insane.
Yeah, that's crazy.
Okay, so here's a perfect segue. What are 3 things that you do not miss about the Big Brother house?
The very first thing that I don't miss is slop. Man, that stuff is just freaking brutal. I don't care. Listen, I lived in Africa, okay? I mean, I had to really ration my food. It was hard living in Africa. Sometimes you don't get the privileges you have here. But I'd go back there and pretty much eat anything besides eating slop. Let me tell you, it's think of the worst food that you've ever eaten and times that by 10. It's brutal. It's like gag reflex on an instant when you put it in your mouth. You saw me staring at Dali like I was just gonna literally steal the food he was eating, and it was bad. The second thing that I don't miss in the Big Brother house is the backstabbing. I mean, I can't believe how people become ruthless when they need to become ruthless. And even Sabrina said Paul was a nice guy. This was just a very bad game for him. Because my eyes got opened in that house to how ruthless people can become when they really want to win something. And I think the ugliness really came out, and it was not nice for me to see, because I came in as a motivational speaker, I came in as a nice guy, as a dad, and just to hear people hear me cry because I miss my kids and then go in the next room and laugh at me for doing that, oh man, that was a hard pill to swallow, because I love my kids, I love my wife. That was a tough one. The third thing that I'm not going to miss in that house, man, I hate saying this, but I'm not going to miss Andrew. Just because in the house he was not the type of person that I would have generally been associated with. We just think differently. So in the house, I'm happy that I wasn't living with him anymore. Outside of the house, bro, I'd love to have a drink with you and chill. But being in the house, that's something I can't say I miss. That would be my top 3.
Perfect. 3 things that you do miss about Big Brother.
Woo! Here we go. The one thing I miss in that house is the fact that I was in the house. I mean, who can say that? Listen, think about the thousands and thousands of people that try out for this show that don't get on. Not only did I get on the first season, but I got called back for the second season. That's an honor. And Slice and Insight and all the big wigs there.
Real quick though, what happened with the first season? How come you didn't end up going on that? I think I saw it on something really quickly, but I don't remember fully what happened.
I think the difference you have to realize with me is that being that I am, the main provider in my house, I've got a house, I got a mortgage, I got kids,
yeah.
I got a professional job, I can't just take 3 months off and say, hey, guess what? I'm taking off 3 months. This is something you have to plan for, and that's money, really, what it boils down to. So I had to sit down and look at my budget and realistically say, okay, not only am I going to have to, seriously save up for this because I'm self-employed as a consultant, so if I don't work, I don't get paid. And the second thing is, that's a lot for my wife to take on. My kids are 6, 8, and 10. That's a lot of homework. That's a lot of bedtime stories. That's a lot of, cleaning up. That's a lot of sick time. That's a lot of, what I'm talking about. If you are there and you have kids, then it's something you have to prepare for. And I did not honestly. When I went for it, it's kind of surreal. You go for it, but you don't really think you're going to get it. And then when you get it and you visualize and you realize this is becoming fruition, it's like lights go off. And I didn't think that was fair to them for me to take on something I knew I couldn't commit to. But boy, oh boy, I started to plan because I knew there was a good chance that they'd call me back. And when they did, I had to make some sacrifices. And my wife had to obviously give me that time, which she did. I love her for that. But I took it full force. So that's the one thing that I miss, is being in the house. The second thing I can tell you that I miss is Deli. Deli, man, he was such a good guy in that house. We got to talk so much. I know that he said the other day, when he gets out, he doesn't want to talk to me. But then I heard him say some nice things after that, so maybe that's just game. I believe that we had a connection in the house, and I miss the guy. I want him to go all the way. The third thing that I really miss in the house, and this is going to sound really bad, but I like the fact that I got to have a bit of a vacation. I work hard, family, it's busy, life's crazy, and I've never, ever in my life just got to sit and do nothing. Nothing. My biggest job for the day was how long I was going to stay in the hot tub was the biggest decision for the day. I mean, that was awesome, Yeah. I mean, you know what I mean? You couldn't ask for that, So this was a perfect opportunity to reflect and think and let Canada really just get to know who I was as a person. I love that aspect of having sessions with you talking about love, relationships, dancing, popping, locking, all those things, man. That was awesome. So I'm reliving my ultimate dream right now. I really am.
Well, I was so glad when you were on, because last season, and I'm going to tag it as this, and I hope you don't get offended, but last season I was like, where's the token oldie? because I love the token oldie, right? Like Shelly and even Jerry, Chicken George. Like, it's nice to have that older person in the house because last season, yeah, Suzette was a little bit older. She's pretty young, though. And it just turned into, like, this big orgy of showmances. It was gross. So it was nice for that. So I really was stoked to have you in the house. I am so bummed that it didn't last as long as I had originally thought it would. But yeah,
everybody gave me good odds. Everybody really gave me good odds. But I learned so much, So hopefully,
so would you do? And I know people get sick of hearing about All Stars because it's so like far away and whatever. But would you do it?
I would do it. I think if Evil Dick could come back in the house and do what he did, I would definitely go back in there. I mean, Mike Boogie is not exactly a young skipper either, but he went back in there. I will definitely have to seriously have Carl train me and drop a few pounds because they didn't add 10 pounds. The camera does not add 10. It's more like 142. I felt like a whale sliding back and forth on that wine competition there with that was just craziness, but I had a blast. I know everybody was like, what the hell are they doing? I was like, no, I'm having fun with this. So, I'm going to drop a few pounds. I'm working on it. I'm going to get back into shape. That was a reality for me. But I conquered some amazing fears in there. I got to live my dream, and I will definitely go back. Just knowing what this experience has done for me and how much I've learned, I will play the game a lot differently this time, though.
Yeah. No, that's cool. And like, I think it would be awesome if they did like a Big Brother Canada and U.S. All Stars. I know it won't happen, but that would be so incredible.
Big Brother North America.
Yeah, that would be so cool.
Yeah, I'd love to see like Chilltown and the Shield and like sitting and like myself and Adele and Kyle, like, you know what I mean. Some of the teams come back and play as teams in some way, shape, or form. I think that'd be kind of cool. You know what I mean? And listen, man, shout out to McCrae and Spencer and Judd and all of those guys, Andy, who's just been amazing support for me. And I mean, I've been such big fans of these guys to actually have them reach out to me. Eliza's reached out, from the first season. So many so many of those guys that, I just looked at them as kind of being on TV, and then all of a sudden they're calling me up, and it's such a nice feeling. You feel like you're part of that family, and so I just want to give a shout out to all of those people because I truly think that.
And that's kind of how it is for us, and like the same way that you're feeling about like Spencer and McCrae and like Judd calling you is kind of how we feel. Like when you said, "Yeah, I'll do this interview with you," like we're so excited and over the moon, like. Thrilled. And when we interviewed Kyle, we loved it. And I know way back, it was last season, I did a phone interview with Spencer right after he left the house, and I was terrified. Like, I was red, I was sweating, like it was bad. And he totally threw me off, and he's like, "Oh, I'm gonna ask you a question," and I was like, what? And he just totally caught me off guard. But that just shows like some of these people that come out of this game are such phenomenal people. And I know I feel incredibly lucky to have the chance to even talk to any of you guys, and especially you, Paul. Like, I didn't think that this would even be an opportunity, but yeah, like it's awesome. Amazing for us. We're just regular people. We're not like Rob has a podcast. We've never done anything.
We're not former players. We're not.
Have you guys ever tried out for the show, though? Have you tried out for the show?
I've thought about it, but I have decided not to.
Really? You're such a big fan, and you'd rather be on the outside looking in than actually trying to get in the house. What about you, Jay?
I've had speeches and videos. I had little quick things prepared for my 1-minute video and 3-minute video both seasons, but I have a young family, and I just can't. I just cannot be away from my wife and my kid. Like you, I'm the main provider. And I've been in my house not too long now. I have things to take care of. So, 2-3 years down the road, you can bet I'm going to be at the live auditions. I'm going to be sending in tapes. I'm going to be applying. So I'm hoping one day my time will come. But I just can't right now. it's not an option.
And that's exactly where I was at last year, right? I mean, my kids were like, 4, 6, and 8 almost, you know what I mean? So, but too young. At least this year, more like 6 going on 7, 8 going on 9, and of course 10 going on 16. So, I mean, you know what I mean? So I felt as though, and of course, you're right. You have to plan for it, and it is a sacrifice. And people should never think that I was never in a position where I could just take off 3 months. I had to put myself in a position to do that. So, but let me tell you something. If you ever get there, Jay, it is an amazing experience. I mean, I can't even put in gas for 20 seconds without 1 or 2 people yelling out, "I love you, PJ!" Like that's just insane to me. I mean, I can't go to a restaurant without feeling like, when you ever go to a place and you don't know anybody, I feel I can go in almost anywhere by myself, and there's going to be somebody there to talk to. Yeah. It's just the most awesome feeling ever.
Here's a question for you, Paul. So, obviously going on Big Brother has always been something that I've wanted to do, but there's this huge thing that always talks to me that says, oh my God, people will go after your name, something could go terribly wrong. Like, that is exactly what's holding me back and would hold me back in the future, because it's not only me that's going out, then, my sister, my brother, my parents, everyone, they're getting attacked, and that's just not something that I want to put them in the line of fire. So talk to me about how kind of that went for you and how you kind of just went with it anyway.
People ask me this all the time. People ask me this no matter where I go. Whether I go to the mall, I mean, they'll stop me at a donut shop, and the very first thing sometimes they'll say to me is that, I want to try out, what is it that I need to do? I want to try out, what did you do to get on? What was something that you did, that didn't? And the only thing that I tell people is that the first thing is that you want to be yourself on a really good day. When you wake up and you can take on the world, that's kind of how you want to go into this whole audition process. You want to wake up like you can conquer the world. That's the attitude you want on that particular day. But the other thing is that you have to remember something. When you're in that house, you become a character.
Yeah, for sure.
And the character will only be portrayed based on the material and the content that you give the character. So if you want to be the person like Netta, for example, that doesn't say much, that kind of sits under the radar, finds one person to get close to, you can play that card. Unfortunately, what happens is that if you don't have a good sense of self, you will become something you're not, and the house will take control of your emotions. It does happen. You've got to be so secure in who you are, and that's one thing that never rocked me. I knew who I was. No matter whether I played the good guy or the bad guy, I was calling Andrew out, I always knew who I was as a person, and sooner or later, others would get to see that, right? Yeah. The same thing with Deli. Some people came in there really confused. I can tell you, Rochelle, she doesn't have a good sense of self. I know that. I can see she's young. She still has a lot to learn. And fortunately for her, Sabrina took her under her wing and kind of dragged her along. And you get to see that developing. You know what I mean? So you have to have a good sense of self. And remember, you can only be portrayed as far as what you give people out there. But if you come in, insecure, you're not sure, you try to find a friend, you don't have a friend, that's how you're going to be portrayed, right? And don't forget, too, you want to pick your nose, that's fine, but you will wear a shirt saying, I picked my nose. Those things just get brought in the open, right? So you've got to accept that. And some people feel very uncomfortable with that because, let's face it, you get to see some things in that house you might not want to see, like naked people. It does happen, right? So, and that means the world's seeing it. So
I think, you're right. It comes down to knowing yourself and stuff. And I know at this point in my life, I'm still a little bit of a hothead, so I might have to wait a couple more years till that calms down. I'm way better than I used to be, but I'm still quite a hothead. So maybe in the future, but
and that'll come out. And that'll come out. And if you portray yourself as the hothead, you might even get chosen for that because you'll be portrayed as that hothead, right? And so, I mean, Amanda's a good example of that, right? I mean, that's just her personality, and that's why they chose her, right? Sabrina, same thing. A little over the top. She knows every celebrity out there. She's going to be rich and famous. The guys are going to line up for her when she comes out of the house.
She is nothing that I thought she was going to be. I thought she was going to be this sweet, quiet little Italian girl that was like friends with everybody and quiet. And she's just like, oh my God, girl.
No.
Shut up.
No. I think that she will be confronted by the real Kardashian to be told never to try to act like her. I think that'll probably happen on a personal note. But let's just, move on from that.
That's funny.
Yes.
So any regrets in the game at all? Probably not, but it's just a question that's come up through that I've been asked here.
You know what I think? I think that my only regret, and I'm not saying that this in a way to kind of backtrack, I still think that he needed to be responsible for what he was saying. I do think, though, that I probably prematurely maybe called him out, and I should have just let Canada decide that for themselves. And I think they did ultimately, but I think I should have just kind of laid back on that. I think that put a major target on my back. And I think it took him from just not liking me to really not liking me and then making me a major target. I think that if I just kind of stepped down just a little bit from that, I think Kenny and John could have still worked with him to try to keep me and not make it as personal. Mm-hmm. But because I did that, it made it very personal, and he couldn't step away from that. So, yeah.
And then what are your thoughts on the Canada being the final jury vote?
I love that idea. I think it's a great idea because I think Daly will get the vote for sure. I think that is a guaranteed vote for him if he gets to the final two. I also think that Canada is quite up to date with what's happening in the House, and they've seen what people are really like in the House, and I think they'll be a good judge of character. So I kudos for Canada getting that vote.
Yeah,
and
I think it'll be good.
I just want Canada to remember that we want to put the key in for the person that's going to win the game. Okay, I just want you guys to all of Canada. I know we're all thinking collectively, but the key goes in for the people you want to have win the game. Okay, I just want to put that out there, just so everybody is clear on the rules.
And
I know
make sure
to explain it to you.
Make sure that you're legitimately 150%.
150%.
Make sure that you're extra 150%.
Yeah, because you can't exactly say to Canada, you made a mistake. Because Canada be like, what were you thinking? So, yeah, that's a little hard to explain that.
I mean, this is just totally random here at the end. I've been dying to ask you this ever since it did get aired on the episode on Thursday.
Yes.
Rochelle peeing in the hot tub. Thoughts?
Disgusting. Disgusting. Just not very well mannered. I think that's a clear indication of some values and morals that needs to be reestablished. I think that mom and dad should sit down and have a good talk about not peeing in the tub, especially when other people are going to use it. I mean, this is not like you drain the water and somebody else comes in and refreshes the water. This is you literally peeing and somebody else actually bathing in your pee. That just leaves a bad disdain on your skin, maybe some discoloring, gets into crevices. I just don't think it's a polite thing to do, and I'm asking you, please, whoever you are, if you're going to get in the hot tub, do not take a leak. So that's my opinion on this one.
I like that production threw it in there, though. I was like, they're going to.
Well, I love the fact that Sabrina was in the tub with her, too. If anybody should have been in the tub.
She kept sitting there.
Sabrina should have been there. Yeah, so
she keeps sitting. I was like, oh man, come on.
Yeah. So I mean.
And then Adele, when he found Sabrina's tampon in the shower.
Oh, I heard about that. That didn't make the episode. Can you believe it?
No.
Yeah.
Those gremlins, they need to go back to class. Learn about some class.
Listen. The one thing I didn't understand was that John. People like John in the beginning, people like John, Rochelle, even Heather. There's a lot of those kids that never picked up a dish, never cooked, never cleaned, never did anything in that house. Like, it was always up to the others, like Mumsy, Andrew, myself, Sabrina. I mean, there was always a few people that cooked. I mean, Arlie and I, for the first week, cooked breakfast for the whole house every single morning, like full-out breakfast. You guys never saw that. But, I mean, you know what I mean? And some people never did anything. So you kind of get to see what their habits are like at home, too.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, no, that's what a lot of previous house guests say is about people. Like, if you do a lot of cleaning and you do a lot of like cooking, you're usually pretty good. You'll make it pretty far in the game because people start to rely on you for that.
I love Deli though. Because Andrew would stand there, right, and Andrew would go, "Who didn't do this? Who didn't do this? Why did somebody? Who was the one that didn't do it?" And then Deli would always go, "I didn't do it." That's my plate. I left it. Who ate all the shrimp? Who ate all the freaking shrimp? And then Deli's like, "Me. I did. Okay, I did." Like, it was like, and Andrew would get so ticked off at Deli, eh? That kid drives me insane. He eats all the steaks. He burns the steaks. He doesn't know how to cook steaks. Every day he cooks all the freaking steaks. And Deli's like, "Yep, I did. So, yeah, there you go. That's what I did. There you go." Like, get out of it. I love that kid. We stayed up one night. Myself, Kyle, and Deli, we decided to have a final dinner before we left. And so we say to Kyle, "What would you like to eat?" And Kyle goes, "I'd like to eat the shrimp." But all week, as the food runs low, they don't replenish them. Once a week they replenish them. So of course all week all the food's running low, and all we have left is like seafood, right? And of course Kyle goes, "I want all the seafood," right? And Gordy's been saying all week, "Don't touch the freaking seafood," right? And what does Kyle say? "I want all the seafood." So what does Deli do? He goes into the freezer like 2 in the morning. He cooks up all the seafood, and so we're having a seafood fest day before Kyle leaves the next day. Next morning, Gordy comes downstairs. He's looking for the seafood. He's freaking out at the whole house. "Where's the damn seafood? Who ate all the seafood?" And Kyle and I are sitting both in front of him, and we're not saying a thing, right? Because we're just looking at him, and Andrew's freaking out. "Who ate seafood?" And the pantry, and he just goes, "I did," and he keeps walking out to the backyard. I'm telling you, man, we all just cracked up. He just didn't care. I love that about Deli. Yeah, well, anyway.
Man, that's a wicked story, Paul.
Yeah.
That's so funny. I love that stuff. Love that. Paul, we are hitting the 2-hour mark. We're probably just past that with all our technical issues, but that's fine.
It's okay. You got some sign language in there. It's all good.
Yeah, I gotta say this has been a way better podcast than I thought it was going to be. This interview has been so much fun. You've given us lots of insight about the people that you got to know in the house, the things you got to see and experience. It's always nice to kind of get firsthand knowledge from people that have been there. And like Kassie was saying earlier, we love the fact that you're even giving us the time of day. We understand you going on Spencer McRae's show, but just a couple of random people looking you up on Twitter. Maybe the fact that we interviewed Kyle, maybe he put in a good word for us. I don't know. But either way, it's been a lot of fun, and we want to thank you and Kyle again too for coming on and chatting with us, because it's been just awesome. So
it's a dream come true. Huge dream come true for us.
And if Sideshow doesn't want you, we'll take you. So we'll have you back at some point here. We'll get you back.
No problem. Well, listen, thanks for having me, guys. I appreciate it. I think that eventually you're probably going to have myself and Kyle on the show.
Yeah.
That'll just be epic, as you know it, because when we start beating off each other, that didn't sound good. When we start to play off each other, that would just be amazing. But listen, you know what? My message is always clear whenever I do these interviews, is that the one thing I want to promote is risk and change. What does that mean? It means that in life sometimes you have to take risks, because you'll never know what your potential is or how you can affect other people out there. Take some risks sometime, And then the other thing is, if you don't want change to happen, you can be complacent, but change will find you sooner or later. So find something that you're passionate about. Find something that's going to challenge you. I don't care how small it is. Be authentic. Be true to who you are. And, brother, let me tell you something. I did it. I went on a show. I conquered my heights. I did some amazing stuff. And now I'm going to really get to roll this journey out. So that's what I did, taking a risk and accepting change. So I want to encourage you guys to do that.
That's fantastic. Well said, Paul.
Thank you.
Cool.
Well, yeah, that would be great. So hopefully in the future we'll have you back, and with Kyle, that would be amazing. And everybody else, stay tuned for this week of what's going to happen in the Big Brother house. I think live feeds come back on Monday, I think. So yeah, we'll talk to you guys next week. I think we'll be back on Tuesday. Oh, go ahead, Paul.
And don't forget to follow me on Twitter. And remember, I have a competition going on for a T-shirt. That's insane, dude. So come on now. Get cracking.
Perfect. Awesome.
All righty.
Sign it out.
Thanks.